Somebody like, has the video started yet? Oh, okay. I didn't know we was live. You didn't do the countdown. She pushed the wrong button. I didn't know we was live. But we are live. No countdown, no nothing. I was saying, is this video started yet? No, we ain't had no countdown. But we are live. That's on D. Some she said, I'm sorry, y'all. She got me out here like she got me out here all exposed. Good thing I had on bottoms. Good thing I had on some bottoms. Good thing I didn't do like the news anchors be sitting up there in their underwear. Sitting there in their underwear and a shirt. And I sat down, they were like, did she come on the live like that? Just out here in the wind? Mm. What's going on with women in Lennox? What they got going on? They just come on the live any kind of way. Mm. This is what friends are for. Hey, this is what friends are for. How y'all doing today? Hey, don't feel alone. She was like, we live. I'm like, we live. And I'm look in broadcast. I'm like, Lord, 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 Lord. Well, good morning, y'all, or afternoon. Sorry for the delay. We are live. We are here. Those that of you that won your items for I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. You should have received your payouts on the money wise, and we should be getting the terraform stuff this week. And then I have to get individually with those that won certifications. I have to get with you individually because it needs to go in your name. I had to pay for it, invoice it, and put it in your name and so forth. So I have to get with you all one on one on that. And D should have the list. Stacy G, if you play this back or if you're out there listening, I don't think D had your info. She might have reached out to you, but I'm not sure. I'm just putting it out here on this channel live to say that you need to get with her. Okay. I think I did Howie Lennox and didn't I do something on this one? I can't remember. Okay, D say Stacy G is good to go. I can't remember. I think I gave away something on here. Somebody was supposed to get something on here, I think. I just can't remember. D should have wrote that down. Hopefully. Maybe. Could be. If I forgot you, let me know. That is not our goal is to give away stuff and not get it to you. We don't do it for likes. We don't do it for the likes. All right. So last week we covered a lot. Um oh, brown eyes. Oh yeah. That is on brown eyes is I think Uncle Stu's wife. I think you got contact. I can get in contact with him. We can go from there. All right, let me get myself situated, get my stuff pulled up so I can see who say what, when, where, and then turn my volume down. There we go. All right, cool. All right, so let's get busy. Last week we talked about a lot. We talked about bond laddering. We talked about investing in general. We talked about a lot. Let me actually pull up last week's episode so we can have so I can tell you exactly what we spoke on. So y'all can go back to it if you needed to, but let me pull it up. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we did talk about FTX, um, capital gains. No, I didn't talk about capital gains. We talked about the movies, Blackstone. Um, but I don't think did we get a chance to talk about data centers last week? Mm, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember if we talked about data centers last week. It's okay, cause this week I got some stuff for you. Um, let's get started with. We didn't talk about data centers last week. Okay, I got the data centers from last week and this week. So let's get started with some financial planning first. Some 5 pillars. This video is like 11 minutes long, and I should kind of skip through it so we don't have to sit here these 11 minutes here. And I'll pick it up where it actually starts at right here, and then we'll go there and we'll start there. So basically, this video, to sum it up, is about the five different levels of financial needs, right? And they go into your different phases, and you can look at your own life and see the different phases in which you are at. And from looking at this video and from when you got started, just really thinking about when you got started coming out of high school, or just your first job, or what have you, right? You can look at it from that way. So shout out to Peter Investor, we see you. So let's get started with the video, and then we can discuss a little bit more about where you're at. And then I got a plethora of things that I want to discuss today that's going to involve even stuff from DeSantis taking out the money out of I think BlackRock, um, and even some things that I've seen across just different just different channels and different financial accounts. And then we could even, if we have time, if time permits, I actually went and sat down with um, someone from Charles Schwab yesterday on financial planning, just to make sure that I am covering all my bases, and make sure that everything is on point. And pretty much you said everything was on point, but I can go into a little bit more detail about that conversation. Um, and I can also go into detail about um, just some other things that I have found along the way. And again, this is not financial advice. These are just things that I've discovered that I find interesting, that I hope can help you in your success and your financial goals and your end result. All right. So let's get into the video. I don't think we're gonna have a word from our sponsor. We gotta update that video. But either way, let's get into this video. All right. Uh, and let me know, because I'm back in my Chrome browser, and let me know if y'all can, if you have sound. Let me know if you have sound. In fact, before we even do that, let me just copy this and then open up this other link, other browser. All right, so let me stop this one. Make sure the sound is actually coming out of my speakers before we get started. Um, Input, output. I'm not seeing nothing on the output. I'll turn it up. Okay, there. I hear something there. All right. So all right. So I'm gonna hit play, and you all let me know if you are hearing anything. No sound. All right. Cool. I don't know why sound does not come out with Chrome. I am not sure. what that is. I may have to reinstall Chrome. That's okay, because I prepped it right here. All right, so this is the first level. And let me turn that up. And then here we go.
Reaching the next level. Let's take a moment to go through each of these levels individually. The first level is financial survival. This level is basically where all of us start when we first get out on our own financially, even if not everyone stays there for very long. Unfortunately, it's also a level where we can easily become trapped if we aren't careful. This is because this level is all about finding ways to cover our essential expenses, such as food, water, shelter, transportation, clothing, and probably insurance. Ideally, we'll be able to do this with the income from our jobs or side hustles, but that isn't always feasible, especially at first. So many of us start accruing debt to make ends meet. As you can imagine, this can often lead to a stressful and frantic existence if we stay at this level for too long, and it's one of the reasons why we don't always make the wisest financial choices. For instance, think of payday loans. These are short-term loans that charge insanely high interest rates, oftentimes in the triple digits when viewed on an annualized basis. And they tend to be used by people who need an advance on their salaries to make ends meet in the short term, and have been unable to acquire the money through other means like more traditional personal loans from a bank, or heck, even credit cards. It's
No, I'm gonna start right there. So payday loans. Let's talk. Let's talk about payday loans. All right. So most of the time, what I have found, and this has been reported, so you can fact check this. Payday loans, or predatory, but primarily predatory towards um, people who were in the military, because they do get paid on the 1st and the 15th, and they needed, and if it was a long month, they would see people coming in, and those percentages that they're returning on those payday loans was anywhere from like 200%, 240% on a on a return, right? So you may go get a payday loan for and I did a payday loan one time. One time in my life I did a payday loan. I tell you about it. I was making a move from I was moving from Texas to DC, and I needed money for the apartment, and I needed money going across the state. But at the time I was working I was no, I was moving from it wasn't from there to there. It was from Seattle to Texas. But I was working two jobs. And so what I did was I knew that I would be getting paid that following week twice. Right. So I knew I would get two paychecks. And so I took out a payday loan. But as soon as, the way they work is you write them a check prior to you, um, you know, for them, and then when you hit, they get the they really get your money before it even hit your account, right? Um so if you get paid on it's almost like them taking it out. It's almost like the government taking your money out before it even hit your account, right? So by the time it hit your account, whatever you got is whatever you got. It's not I'm gonna hit your account and then I'm gonna take it out. No, they don't even let the money hit your account, right? And so I did it for $1,500, but I immediately paid them back because I was moving, and I was like, that's the one time I ever used like a payday loan. Now at that time, I didn't have a credit card um, that had $1,500 on it. I didn't have a credit card that had $1,500 on it. Now we get credit cards that are unlimited. Imagine that. and and at the time, at the time, the credit card that I did have only had like a $200 limit, and I was like, I used to be like, man, I can't spend over this. You got to keep this. you got to keep this low. Don't spend over that, because if you do, it's going to affect your credit score. And it was a secure card on top of that. Um, and I think I still have that card to this day. I think the limit on that card is like $2,000 or something like that. I think maybe 4,000. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a card that's just there right now because it got the history. But just to think about these payday loans and this survival that this phase that you could be in. Some of you are in this survival phase, and what I did to get out of that survival phase is I busted my ass. I studied, I interviewed, I set up labs. Anytime somebody told me no, that just evoked an emotion in me like, oh, you told me no. Oh, they told me, why they tell me no? What did I do wrong? I took notes, and I got back to it. Like, you told me no, okay, fine. I'm gonna go interview somewhere else. I'm gonna keep interviewing until I get a yes. Um, and that's what I did. I mean, that's really what I was in. I was in survival mode. We was, paycheck to paycheck. You're not. It's not really. You're not sure where your next meal is gonna come from. You just buy just enough groceries to get you to that next meal. Eating out. You didn't. If I did eat out, um, the dollar menu at Wendy's, some chicken nuggets and a fry. Just if I did eat out. We're not doing fancy. We're not going to Ruth Chris. We're not eating no fancy meals. We're not eating. We ain't going to STK. We're not going to a steakhouse. Um, we ain't doing nothing like that. If the eating out was it's back in the day. Eating out was eating wings at Applebee's, right? And there wasn't no 2 for $20 back then. They didn't have 2 for $20. Yeah, the struggle is real. Um, Buying bottled water, no, get a Brita filter, change it, change it out. You might miss getting the filter, so you just run on that same filter, or you boil you some water and let it cool off, and then put it into the container and drink that. Like, just things like that, right? Just just trying to figure out. So for those of you that are like, oh my goodness, you never had to struggle, or you don't know what it's like to struggle. Yeah, I do. I know exactly what it's like to struggle. I know exactly what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. And it's funny we're having this conversation because I just had this conversation, and it's a one-way conversation. My bad. Just had this conversation with D, and I was talking about I was talking about growing up with my mom, right? And I remember the day. I'm not gonna even forget that day. She came to me and she was like, I'm behind on the rent, and if I don't come up with this rent, we're gonna have to. And I was in high school. If I don't come up with this rent, we're gonna have to move back in with your grandmother. And I was like, no. And I started crying. I was like, I don't want to go back. I've been there. I don't want to go back. No. And it wasn't that my grandmother was a bad person or nothing like that. It was just a 1 bedroom apartment. And my grandmother was one of the ones. She gonna get up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she think you supposed to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she gonna walk the house. She gonna turn on all the lights. She gonna bang on the pots until you get up. She gonna turn the heat up. Like she was like, it's cold in this house, so she turning the furnace on. She turning all the eyes on the stove on. She gonna open up the stove, turn it up on high, open it up, and you just being there, you just like, oh my God, I'm melted. All the windows closed, and my grandmother was one of the ones that used to be afraid of everything. So she would close the windows, and then she would take nails and hammer the windows down, like so you couldn't open them up. So you would, like if some like she was like somebody could climb up here and break in the windows. Like so at night you just be in there, and it's Georgia, it's hot in the summertime in a brick apartment and stuff like that. And my mom was like, we gotta move back, and I was like, that's the end of me. That's the end of my high school life. Like we can't go back. And she was like, well, in order for us to stay here in this condo, because they had a condo, she said, um you gotta help me out with the groceries and gas and so forth. So I was working at Wendy's. I would pick my shifts up on Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays, and I would work 12-hour shifts on Saturdays. I will on Fridays I would work 6 hours or so, and then I would make food for my mom and me. She would like bring me something home to eat. So I would use my discount to bring her food home. And then on Sundays I would work on Sundays as much as I could, legally could. And then when I would get paid, I didn't even have I didn't even have a bank account. I had a check. I would go to the check cashing spot up the street on Memorial Drive, and I go to the check cashing spot, and then I give. Once I cash my check, it may only be like my little check was no more than $300, and I give my mama 200, and then I would keep 100, or I would give her 250 and keep 50 for myself, and then um, and just be on a budget for myself for those 2 weeks, because all I needed to do was go to school, and then stop by my grandmama house, eat at my grandmama house, and if I was get real hungry, or if I ain't want none of that, I would eat on a budget, right? Pizza, downtown, downtown off of Broadway, Rosa's Pizza. I would go over there and get 2 slices of pizza, or I get a whole pizza and eat off of that for 2 days or 3 days. Like the struggle is real. Like so, from then to now, um, I won't say I'm in survival mode. I just use the tactics that I have always used to get out of to make sure I'm where I want to be, right? And some people are like, well, you know, you don't have to keep battling and fighting, but the truth be told is, if you don't keep battling and fighting, there's gonna be always somebody that's gonna creep up on you and battle and fight, right? There's somebody always wanting to go the extra mile, right? And so you look across the landscape these days, right? And we see the layoffs. And I think it was reported yesterday that Amazon is laying off 20 more thousand people across, but they're outside of the data centers that they're building. It's a reason why I bring up data centers, and it's a reason why I keep telling y'all that infrastructure is always going to be around. They're going to keep building infrastructure. As many people as we have on this planet, people are going to still need the three. You can add four if you want to, networking, but data, security, and automation are going to always be there. So having your skills that are going to last you 10, 20 years. I learned Linux. I started learning Linux back in uh, end of 2000, beginning of 2001, right? In the 2000, beginning of 2001. And I've been doing it ever since. So when I say learn Linux, I'm not telling you because it's just something fun to do. I've been using it for 20 years. It has been my baseline for most work. And it is the baseline of anything cloud. It is the baseline of anything security. So having recession proof your skills for 20 years, I can I can tell you that it worked, right? We are here. We are here at Women in Linux, and I'm telling you that it has worked. going forward, will cloud be a thing? Absolutely. But it depends on what type of cloud, right? It could be OpenShift on-prem, it could be with VMware, it could be Anthos, but all of that is still Linux based. Embedded chips and so forth are still Linux based. We saw Google coming out with their own OS using called Kata OS, which they're doing it for embedded systems because they don't feel they're secure enough. But at the underneath that is Rust and Linux, and Rust is going into the Linux kernel. So when I tell you recession proof your skills, look at across the landscape. I'm really looking across the landscape and seeing what we're doing now and how's that going to change in the future. Quantum computing has been around forever, right? But and blockchain too. But having those specialized skills, is something totally different. So, you can pigeonhole yourself to quantum computing or blockchain or whatever, which is fine. Just understand where that industry is going for the next 10 or 20 years. We reviewed Robert Smith, where Robert Smith was saying for the next 50 years. I'm thinking you're not going to work past 20 years or maybe 30 years. And them last 20 years or 30 years, however you look at yourself, you're going to be retired and living off of these assets that you have acquired from you working hard the first 10, 20 years and letting your assets pay for your lifestyle, or acquiring, which could be acquiring businesses as well. And it's not to say that you're going to get to 50 or you're going to get to 60 and you're going to go into a retirement home and you're going to kick off your shoes and relax your feet and party on down to the escape beat. I'm not saying that. What I'm really saying is find a way that every year you're in tech or every year you're working to supplement your income. I didn't do that when I first started. I was just trying to figure out life. But I'm giving you the game now so you don't have to try to figure it out. If you starting in tech and you get a sign-on bonus, go buy an asset. Go buy something that's going to return you some money. I don't care if it returns you $200. It's $200 that you didn't have to work for. Most people are not making, and if you could break this down this way, most people are not making $150 an hour, right? So you think about that $200 a month, what's that returning you on your time? Your time is going to be your most precious thing. You only get 24 hours in a day. You're supposed to sleep anywhere from what, 8 to 10 hours. You're gonna work out for an hour or two. The time to get there to work out, if you don't, if you go to the gym, the time for you to eat and relax, the time for you to study, the time for you to spend time with your family. It's only so much time in the day, and you got to figure out which one is gonna which realm you're gonna be in, and how you gonna make money so you can have more time to do the things that you really want to do. Right. Peter said Chimes, a new neo fintech company, is laying off many as well. In addition to having problems such as closing customer accounts, Darius Rubin said, "I didn't know in the command line on Linux you could type Vim tutor. Yep, and they have lessons. Yep, you could type Vim tutor. You could type Vim dash dash help. There are so many different ways to learn Vim and so forth. Right." Yep, Vim comes with a tutor. It's been there since the beginning of time. Now that you mention that, right? With a little sidebar here. Uh let's go here right quick. Um since you mentioned Vim, the founder of Bash. His name is Brian Fox. Why do I bring up Brian Fox? Because Brian Fox is a brother. In case you didn't know, out of Boston, Massachusetts. The Bash Shell is one of the ones that we use all the time. We use the bash shell all the time. In fact, it's the default. But they've updated the bash shell as well too. I think he was part of the update, and he's gone on to find some other stuff as well too. And if you look down here, let me see. See, he's done some puzzles. Let me see what else they got on here. 89. He released the beta version of the Bash Shell. MIT retrieved. Let's see, Usenet. Let me see if they got any more information about O'Brien. See, 2017 this was. Brian Fox, author of the Bad Shell. This is how I work. And this was 2017, so it hadn't been updated. Santa Barbara. Let me see if any more news on it. Let me sort this right quick. Let me go from, let's go for the past year. Let's see. All right. April, betterworldbooks.com. Bash reference manual. Let's see. Can I click on that? Overview. I guess I gotta buy it. Yeah. It's unavailable though. Won't let me buy there. Programming fundamentals, IDE, Bash. There's some people talking. A PDF of the Bash. It looks like PDF reference manual from GNU. Some people call it GNU. Some people call it new. It says Brian Fox here. So this probably is the book right here. This is probably the book that I was just looking at. What is Bash? What is a shell? Yeah, this is probably the book. I'll drop this link in the back, and if you all want this PDF, you can grab it. Let's see. My daughter said she's interested in cybersecurity for her college degree. Which computer will be better to learn on? I really don't know on that one. I don't think it matters. It depends on what she's doing with her cyber degree. Most of the time, most of the time the schools have like a environment that she would log into to do her work, or they'll give her a VM to work on. More than likely, if she's in school, I'm gonna say get something that's Windows based, and they'll probably give her things that can go get installed on her computer in order to do the work. And 9 times out of 10, she'll probably have her own cloud account. They'll give her her own cloud account to log in and do stuff. So she won't be really doing anything on her computer, but she'll be doing things. She'll need to install things to access another environment, more than likely. We're studying for the RHC ESA. Can EBPF tools help us for the exam? Nah, you don't need that. Not to study. You'd probably need it for SRE and later on, but not for the RHCSA. You won't need that. That they don't even cover anything like that. All right, that's my survival journey. All right, let's get back to it, and so y'all can see the rest.
Generally advised to avoid payday loans if at all possible, due to those high interest rates. But sometimes people, especially at this level in the hierarchy, find themselves in situations where they don't really have any other options. At the end of the day, if you need the money to put food on the table, then you're going to take the loan to put the food on the table. because as horrifically bad as these loans can be, it's still preferable to starvation. Another, somewhat less extreme example is buying lottery tickets. Now, spending money on lottery tickets is seen by many as a waste of money, and statistically speaking, it almost always is due to the incredibly low odds of winning. But if you find yourself in a situation where you seem perpetually trapped in this paycheck to paycheck cycle, often with an ever ballooning mountain of debt around your neck, it can get pretty demoralizing. And after a while, that can create a sense of desperation and desire for any sort of hope of a way out, no matter how unlikely it actually is. So spending money on a long shot like lottery tickets is at least understandable for someone in that kind of situation, even if a more clear-headed examination might find something else that would be a more optimal solution to the situation. So that's the first level of the pyramid. People need to find a way to cover their essential everyday expenses, either with their own incomes or with the help of some sort of debt. The second level in the hierarchy of financial needs is sustainability. This level expands the budgetary scope to include discretionary and other non-essential expenses. But that's not all, because you could theoretically survive for a while by financing these other aspects of your lifestyle with loans. So to truly be sustainable and move on to the next level, people need to be able to cover all of their expenses, including any debt payments that they may have acquired in the previous stage, with their earned income. Statistically speaking, this is where many people sit for a good portion of their working career. They still may be living paycheck to paycheck, technically, but they are at least finding a way to make ends meet. The drawback to staying at this level long term is there isn't a lot of wiggle room or margin for error, let alone.
Yeah. And sustainability is where a lot of people stay. And they stay there until their retirement. They just like me and D say, you're on the maintain diet. We're on the maintain. We're not gonna get no smaller. We're not gonna get no bigger. We just maintain it. Right? You become you can say complacent or complicit with the fact that you are able to pay all your bills. You put some money away, but you really not able to do like big things, right? And when I say big things, you can't be like, you know what, this weekend I just want to get away, so I'm just gonna, at the drop of a hat, I'm just gonna get away. Or you could get away, but you got to put it on your credit card, and you got to pay it off over 3 or 4 months or something like that. You couldn't pay it off at the end of the month, which is not a bad thing. It's it's not a good thing either, because you're carrying that balance over. But however, you're able to do certain things, and a lot of America is at the sustainability portion here. I was listening to Dave Ramsey yesterday, and a guy called in, and he was like, "Yeah, my wife's mad at me because, you know, I went to the dealership and I bought a new car." And he was like, "We promised each other that we wasn't gonna do that." He's like, "Our income a month is," I think he said their income a month is 2,000, or they're putting $2,000 away. But either way it goes, he was like, "She's absolutely mad at me." He's like, "But it was," he's like, "I don't know why I did it." He said, "I just wanted a new car. It looked nice, and he said, and it looked good on me, and I just wanted something." And he's like, "But I didn't want to ruin my marriage for that." And when they asked him how much the car was, he said the car was a he said they asked him how much it was, did he spend in total. He said, "I spent a total of $17,000. That's how much the car is worth." And they was like, "Well," he was like, "My wife told me that if I want to stay married to her, either get she I need to get rid of this car." And he was like, "Well, we have money in our emergency fund." She was like, "Well, you need to pay that off, because we don't have monthly bills around here." And he's like, "Should I go take all the money out of our emergency fund and go pay it off?" Because he's like, "Because I still want this car. I still like it." He's like, "But I love my wife more." And so they told him to go sell the car. He's like, take the loss, and take, take the loss out of your emergency money, pay the difference on the loss. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, 17,000 for a car. I was like, I went back and started thinking about when I paid $17,000 for a car. And I remember my very, 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 very first time going to get a car. And I was approved for uh 25,000. And the lady, it was at CarMax, it was in Texas. The lady said, she said, "You got approved for 25." I was like, okay, not sure what I can get for 25 that I like, but okay, right? And she was like, "We got this hot PT Cruiser that just came in. If you want to come take a look at it." And I was like, "A PT Cruiser?" I went and looked at it. I drove it around. I was like, "Nah, I'm not a PT Cruiser person. Like, that's nice." She was like, "But you got to consider you have a back seat for the kids." I was like, "Lady, I ain't got no kids." She's like, "Well, you could have some in the future." I was like, "Well, we'll cross that bridge when it comes." I was like, "But this ain't it." This ain't it. And so my very first car was a Ford Explorer, that I purchased, and I rode that thing to one day coming across the bridge. The fuel pump was going out, and I was driving. I was doing 70, and the thing just stopped on me. I had to pull over. It just stopped on me, and I was like, "What do you do in this situation?" So I sat there and I turned the car off, and I was like, "What am I gonna do?" And so I turned the car back on, and I gunned it till I made it back to um my apartment. And then the next morning, I got up and I took it to the dealer, and they was like, "Oh, it's a good thing you came in today because your warranty expires today." And I was like, "What?" They was like, "Yeah, your warranty expires today." And they were like, "We're gonna replace it. It's gonna be $800 to replace it." But luckily by this time, I'm not in a really in a sustainability mode, right? I'm really putting a lot of money away at this point. But when that happened, right? I was just like, okay, I got to figure out the things that I need to do. What is my insurance cover that in order for me to get back and forth to work with a car rental? Can I get a car from them? How long do I keep it? What if my insurance gonna, instead of taking the insurance the dealer had, was my insurance cover? Just different things that you don't really think about. And then really no one ever, there's no conversation. Nobody has these conversations with you, right? Uh, yeah, Mary, she was trying to make me an auntie before my time. I'm like, lady, no, I don't want that. But nobody really had these conversations with you. Like, what should you take on your insurance? Should you take gap insurance on your insurance, or should you take the dealer's gap insurance? Roadside assistance. Should you get your own roadside assistance through your own insurance, or should you use the roadside assistance that comes with your car? Or should you, what when it comes to tire and wheel, you scrape your rims, should you do that? Key, all the things that all the things that you go through, the steps of buying a car, and then after you leave the lot, the things that your insurance can cover, or places you can go to get your oil change, who's going to change your oils. Like some things, Jiffy Lube and these little other places, they just, some cars, they don't change, they don't cover the change. Like if you get a Mercedes, it's every 10,000 miles or year that you need to change your oil. Like, or if you're in uh, a F type, it's every 15,000 miles. The oil change is only $200, but you listen to other people, they'll tell you that the oil change and the maintenance on those cars is high. It's not the fact that the maintenance on those cars is high; it's the maintenance on the cars are high if you don't maintain them. That's where it comes in at. Where most of the money comes in at for most people is partly more than likely the tires. The tires on those cars are usually the most. But like if you get in a car, like, and you got 10 years on your warranty and stuff, right? Certain things, it may break down, but it's covered on the warranty. So you have to go through the steps of understanding like what does your warranty get you. And I don't think we actually talk about that a lot. I think people just see the word Ford or Mercedes, or they see Lexus or something like that, and their meaning is like it's high. What's high is when you really don't maintain those things and you didn't put things in place prior to that. That's just my experience. Those are the things that I've experienced. I know, just I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Like I think the highest thing that ever uh, I've ever have to do is when you lose a freaking key. That's the highest thing ever. Because certain keys, like I just bought a key for my mom. The key for my mom, because don't nobody know where this key is at, and it's been missing for some years now in her house. I don't know where it's at in her house, but it's been missing. Out of where it go. You know how much that key was to get replaced? $800 to replace this key. Now, in my head, I'm like, do I give her this key, this extra key, or do I keep it? I feel like I should keep it. D, what do you think? I think I should keep it. Because I just feel like it's going to go missing with her. I just do. But again, I think that's the highest thing that I ever had to replace was a key. The keys are the worst. Keys are the worst. Some keys are 1,500. Some keys are $2,000 to replace. It's like buying a whole new set of tires. It's like buying a whole new set of tires. I was like, I'm just gonna take this one on the chin and we're gonna keep it moving. Keep the key, Natasha. That's how I feel. I'm like, man, $800. I was like, she lucky. Ooh, I like, you know what I can do with this little $800? I can go buy some things. I can go do a lot of things with $800, but no, I gotta go put it on a key. All right, let's get back to this video, D.
Surprises. Sure, on the one hand, you are able to cover all of your ongoing regular expenses with the income from your job or side hustle. But on the other hand, one small injury, one small illness, one unexpected expense like a car breaking down could break your budget and send you right back into the debt cycle. And if the surprise is big or bad enough, potentially right back into survival mode. And this leads to an interesting situation. Because when you're living on the razor's edge like this, it's much more difficult to feel comfortable taking much risk with any funds you do manage to set aside. This can sometimes lead to people either investing very conservatively, or more often than not investing at all, instead opting to keep all of their money in a savings account or other non-investment vehicles, which admittedly is perfectly fine for things like sinking funds or emergency funds, but for long-term money, it's generally better to put them into some kind of investment that's likely to appreciate or generate income for you in larger volumes than a simple savings account. So while the sustainability level is a reasonably comfortable place to be financially, at least in comparison to the previous level, ideally you wouldn't stop there, and instead you'd move on to the third level of the pyramid, which is accumulation. This is the point where you're finally earning more than you spend and are able to start putting money away regularly. In the previous level, you might occasionally get a bonus or a tax refund or some other unexpected windfall and have the opportunity to put money away as a result. The difference at this stage is you're doing that every month, barring some sort of unexpected expenses. And that changes things, both from a psychological standpoint and from a financial standpoint. From the financial standpoint, now you can finally start getting yourself some breathing room by building up an emergency fund, as well as potentially some other sinking funds, in addition to potential investments. From a psychological perspective, you finally have the breathing room in terms of cash flow, which makes it a little easier to take short-term risks in the hope of realizing long-term gains. It also tends to make those unexpected occasional surprise expenses a little bit less stressful, because you
All right, so we're gonna give shout out to the certified hater in the chat. That will be D. But anyway, uh how many of you all are at the accumulation phase? That's where we want you all to be. That's the reason for the 200K. We want you to be at the accumulation phase because this is the phase in which you all are now, again, survival. You're putting away money. You're putting away $500, $1,000, whatever that may be, and you're it's doing a little something something, right? You probably got it in a savings account at a bank that's getting 0.001%. You could go with a high yield savings account, at 3 point, I think they had 3.23, 3.1, something like that. Or, I'm saying some of you are don't have it in nothing at all. You got you old school, you got it in an envelope under the bed. You got it in an envelope under the bed, right? Or you give it to somebody and tell them hold it until you need it. Don't spend it. Hold it till you need it because you don't trust yourself. Whatever the case may be, right? Whatever your style is. However, when you get to the accumulation phase and they're talking about the emergency fund, and you're able to, uh, if you get laid off, you got enough money for 6 months. I say you need enough money for 8 months to a year. That's me personally, because I think most of the time when you get laid off, it's going to take you really like a month to kind of like wrap your head around what your next move is. Now, a month is only 4 weeks, right? What your next move is. Um, do you need to sign up for a class? If you sign up for a class, how much money does it cost for that class? Can you get it for free? Um, maybe you applied for um, maybe you apply for some help, right? Or if you didn't apply for help, you actually went on and just you had already started a course before you got laid off, or before you got fired, or before you decided to change job, whatever the case may be. You're unemployed, right? You don't have a steady stream of income coming in every 2 weeks or once a week, however that income was coming in. So now you are in this phase where you got to get back into the workforce. And when I say get back into the workforce, it may not be necessarily going for a W-2. It may be 1099. You may be a consultant. You may go teach something. I mean, it's just a number of things that you could do, but I'm just saying getting back into the workforce doesn't necessarily mean W-2. So you have this emergency fund. And in this emergency fund, you're trying to figure out, is it going to stretch for 6 months, right? It should. Or are you going to really start cutting back even more so it can stretch for the 8 months? Now, I say that to say this: even before you see the writing on the wall or look like you're going to get laid off, you should be studying. You should be putting your time away while you're at work to study up, to move up, right? um some hiring managers and stuff look at people and say, oh, well, you've been at this job for 5 years, why do you want to leave the job now? And they look at you as complacent, and they don't, and I've seen this on LinkedIn. I've seen some people say it on some YouTube channels that are hiring managers and stuff. They're like, we won't hire that person because you feel like that person's skills isn't up to par, right? Some people say that. Some people are like, oh, this person is a lifer. They're gonna be with us for life, so that's what we're looking for, right? But what I'm telling you is, while you're currently at a position, while you're currently working, you need to be looking and skilling up. This, you see it all the time. You can't miss it. You can't miss these headlines if you're on LinkedIn. How to upskill your current employees. How to upskill your employees coming in. Do your do your Does your company meet the challenge of being able to compete with other companies, right? So even within your company, you need to be upskilling yourself. I said it before, I say it again. The only competition I have is me. I compete against myself. I don't worry about what everybody else is doing. I worry about what I did last year and what I'm gonna do this year. And if my income didn't increase, at least $20,000 from last year, really 25, then I something I'm doing wrong, right? So I am my competition, right? And so I compete against me. right? So every year I need to add a skill. I need to be doing something. And the only reason why I say it that way is because I've trained myself that way to be a Swiss Army knife so I can go into enter in any room and any conversation on the infrastructure side. Some of you are great at marketing. Some of you are great at product management. Some of you are great at project management. Some of you are natural born salesmen, saleswomen, right? Some of you are natural born engineers and you're trying to figure it out, right? You whatever it is that works for you, you need to make sure you're increasing that skill set every single time, right? Every year, just increasing that, right? So there's a difference. See, O'Shea Lennox, you're looking at stability as it's a bad thing, good thing. So stability to me means I'm able to take care of just me. If anything happens outside of that, like something, an emergency or something like that, this is my own take. I'm not really able to step outside of that, right? It has to be within the confines of my life. And life really doesn't happen that way. Things happen to you, car accidents happen, so forth and so on. So for me, I don't know. I don't look at stability as being just, I look at stability, let me say it this way, as just being just okay. You're not thriving, if that makes sense to you. So that's how I look at it. I would prefer most people right now to be in the accumulation phase, right? I would prefer most people to be in the, or at least able to get to the accumulation phase. And you can tell me whether or not you all are at this phase or not. But let's continue the video, and we'll talk more about it.
Either already got an emergency fund set up, or you at least have the cash flow to get yourself back above water in a reasonable amount of time. The fourth level in the hierarchy of financial needs is independence. The reality is, if we live long enough, there will eventually come a point where we are physically unable to continue working and earning a living. Therefore, we will eventually need to find a way to fund our lifestyles through other means. The answer to this dilemma is, in a nutshell, financial independence. When you reach a level that your investments or other sources of passive income provide you enough cash flow to realistically cover all of your expenses without needing to ever work again, you can safely assume that you've reached this level in the hierarchy. One underrated aspect of achieving financial independence that often goes unsaid is that achieving it can often make your work life all the more fulfilling. Not just because you have the option to switch jobs into something you're more passionate about if such an opportunity presents itself to you, although that is part of it, but also because you're not worried about something going wrong at work. You're not really worried that office politics or an economic recession, or whatever the case may be, is going to get you laid off because you don't actually need the money. You're working the job, presumably, because you enjoy it. And there's a lot of
Now, the one misnomer about this level 4 here is back in that sustainability and level 2 and level 3 phase. Really, level 3, the accumulation. The accumulation phase is one of your important phases. Why? It's because in that phase, you should be getting things that's going to help you that 10, 20, 30 year, 40 year, 50 year out, right? That long term phase, right? Where you can sit and have passive income to ease up the fact that there is a layoff, or the organization is telling you, hey, we're giving y'all, you know, 3 months to get certified on these things because it's coming. Those that don't get certified, you'll be fired or whatever the case may be, but we're going to help you get there. Or they just come in one day and they're like, hey, we won't need y'all no more. Or you get sick, right? Or you get sick. Or something happens to someone in your family where you have to cover that, right? So in back in that phase 3, that accumulation phase, where you all are building as many income producing assets as you can. So when you get to level 4, you're really picking and choosing how you want to move, what you want to do, what does that look like, um, and where you want to be. And when I say where you want to be, in this independence phase, it may be where you want to live. And I don't want to say necessarily for retirement, but for ease of taxes, for ease of just everyday cost of living, being around family, um, being able to access different things that you feel that make you happy, right? To keep you at peace, right? Some people want to live near water. Some people like the mountains. Some people like the outdoors. Some people like the cold. Some people like tropical. Some people like hot. Some people don't want to be attached to nothing, and they just want to travel the world, right? Some people sell everything that they ever owned and go get an RV and literally go around the world. That's all they do. This a whole crew. They just all they do is travel and go around the world and just and don't have they don't live off of they don't have a solid place to live, but they have other things that are income producing that are replenishing their account, right? What goes out must come back in, right? Whatever you spend out, you need to put it back in. I have a rule of thumb where if I spent something, like if I spend an amount of money, I didn't do it this month. If I spend an amount of money, I if I spend like I spent that money for that key, right? So now I gotta go put $800 into a savings account because I spent that money, right? Whatever you spend, go throw it into a savings account and let it produce some money for you. Yep. And don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit. Don't forget to share this out as well too. Tweet, share it out, whatever. Don't forget to also be thankful that you're here. All right. So let's get back to it. Remember, we're on the independence phase now. We're going into there's one more phase, right? There's one more phase. You're like, what is the next phase, right? So what are the phases that we have talked about? Survival. What's the other phase? Right, write down the phases that you've seen. Write down the other phases that we've been through. We know we've been through survival. We know we've been through accumulation and independence. Right. There's one more phase. Right. So it's total five.
Value of that in and of itself. Now, many people stop their journeys right here. And while there's nothing wrong with that by any stretch of the imagination, you can go further than financial independence. The fifth and final level in the mad scientist's hierarchy of financial needs is utilization. According to the mad scientist, this is when you know you'll never run out of money, so your sole financial focus is aligning your spending and giving with your life's purpose, whatever that purpose may entail. So that's the hierarchy of financial needs, as laid out by the mad scientist. You start off with survival, where you're meeting your essential expenses either with your income or with the help of debts. Then you move on to sustainability, where you're able to meet all of your regular ongoing expenses with your income alone. Next, you start the process of accumulation, where you have enough income after your expenses are already covered to put money away, either in savings, investments, or both. And after a while of doing that, you'll eventually reach financial independence, where your passive income from investments or other sources are enough to cover your expenses without the need for you to continue earning a living. And finally, you've got utilization, where you're unlikely to ever run out of money, so you're able to focus instead on using your money to maximize fulfillment and your purpose in life as opposed to maximizing your returns or your savings rate. However,
I want to go back to that phase. I want to go back to that diagram actually. Right there. I want to leave that right there. All right. So survival, sustainability, accumulation, independence, and utilization. Throughout your journey in tech or life or whatever, you're gonna go through these phases. Um, Now, going through these phases, you got to pick and choose how long you want to be there, right? You got to pick and choose how long you want to be in this accumulation phase. And I think accumulation, honestly, I think accumulation is at the independence phase and the utilization phase. And here's why I say that. I think as you become more and more independent, you're going to always go out and buy assets, which you're accumulating. You're going to always go buy a company, or you're going to always go buy something, right? You're going to always want to continue that. I think utilization phase, that's where your Bill Gates and all of them are at. And not to say that you can't be there either, right? Where you're turning back to help someone. I am approaching I'm still in the accumulation phase. Um the independence phase, I'm still acquiring stuff to pay stuff, right? I'm still acquiring stuff to pay stuff. I hadn't fully got to independence yet. However, I am still doing utilization where I am giving back, and I haven't fully like stopped working and giving that back to, like, that's like Women in Linux is not paying me to do my life's work to get people in, right? And I'm not there yet, right? I do part of that. This is what we do on Wednesdays. So we do on the weekends, but I'm not totally there. It's not YouTube and Women in Linux is not paying me enough to sustain my life, right? If I relied on YouTube and Women in Linux, I will probably be under the survival under the survival phase. You'll be like, I don't know why we listening to her. She out here in these streets. O'Shea, you say I personally see stability as a good quality. It says you can depend on someone or something good for life and or business, but that's not what how they used it here. Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's a take on, and he actually talked about it in the beginning. I skipped it. I skipped it. Let me go back. I can go back to it though. Let me go back. Let me go back to it right here. This is where he talks. This is where it comes from. So we'll start where I skipped it. This is actually where it comes from.
Motivation, Abraham Maslow laid out a handful of things that he believed drove people into action. The 5 broad categories of motivation that Maslow laid out were physiological motivations, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization, as you can see detailed in this pyramid. The general idea behind the pyramid's design is that the needs of each individual level must be mostly satisfied before people will turn their full attention to items on higher levels. And this makes some sense. After all, if you're running out of food and or water, or are severely sleep deprived, your attention is probably going to be dedicated to resolving that issue before thinking too much about how your boss doesn't respect you or the fact that you lost your keys or some other possession recently. The interesting thing is that this idea can easily be applied to our financial needs as well, and the insights we gain from examining our financial motivations through this kind of a lens can be quite beneficial to us in certain circumstances. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's take a look at the hierarchy of financial needs and discuss how it can help us better navigate our financial lives. Oh,
Yep. And so that's what we just went through. We went through that to show um these five things: survival, sustainability, accumulation, independence, and utilization. Um, O'Shea, when we talk about stability, I'm gonna give you this a different way, right? Um, when I hear it's okay, it's all right that everybody be at 47,000. I hear this often, right? That we're people can make it off of 47,000. To me, that screams stability. Like that's the narrative that's pushed, right? That's the narrative that's pushed. So let's give some reality to that narrative. The reality to that narrative is the average home in the US is now 400,000, right? It may be 300 now with some downturn, between 3 and 400,000. The reality of that is that 47,000 isn't enough for you to go purchase that home, much less unless you go through some programs. Let's say that you go through some programs. Now, the next thing is, where are you living, right? So if you go look on the map and you go look at where do most black people live, it is throughout the southeast, and you can include Texas as the southwest. But throughout Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, all across Arkansas, whatever the case may be, is where most black people are concentrated. That's on the map. You can go look that up. So now the next question is, what cities are those people living in when they live in these cities? And we've already seen the black home ownership continue to decrease. That's why you get these programs that we've seen coming out, these new programs, because it's just like, man, they ain't buying homes. They're not buying homes for several reasons. One, probably affordability in the cities of where they're at. Uh, Two, financial literacy. Three, there's a whole bunch of other factors that go into that, from having having things on your credit and so forth, right? So there's a slew of factors that go into that, right? um that's why that program was so important. I forget the name of the program right now, to show your rental history as you are paying your rent, as good rental history, like, hey, you've been paying your rent, you actually made on-time payments, have that help you out towards your credit, so that if you did go look for a house or something like that, at least shows that you've been able to maintain uh a consistent payment amount of over the years and so forth. I've been in several apartment complexes, excuse me, what they say, people have been there for 20 and 30 years. Yeah, 20 and 30 years. No, I'm not in the utilization phase at all. Not yet. But that's what I'm saying. It's a mix. That's why I say, like, the accumulation phase. I think the accumulation phase is going to be at the independence level and the utilization level. And I think giving back, it's just either you're gonna do it or you're not, right? You just give back, it's either you're gonna do it or not. But no, we're not at the utilization phase at all. No, I'm not there. I can totally be honest with that one. But I would like to see more people at the accumulation phase. Um and I think you're gonna be there for at least 15 to 20 years of your life, or at least you should be, in my eye, and when I'm thinking about it. I think the fact that you, most people, on average, right, you go to school, you graduate from college, you 5 years, so about 23. So you're about what, 23 when you graduate, depending on, I didn't go to college till I was 20. Went back to college, let me say, I went back to college when I was 25. So yeah. So I had to play catch up. And then some people, you work and then you rechange your life and so forth. So I think about 20 years, and you could tell me if I'm wrong or not, you're going to be in the accumulation phase. um and you can look at the life expectancy for yourself, as white, black, Asian, whatever, what your life expectancy is, right? And you just ask yourself, like, when you hit 50, are you really going to stop working? Are you really going to be retired and not doing anything at 50? Or are you going to wait till you're 65, 72, right? When are you going to retire? So during those times, you need to be living life and accumulating assets, so you can be at ease on the other end of life, right? So that gets to this point. So when I went and spoke to the guy, Charles Schwab, yesterday, we were talking, and I gave him my overall scenario, what my end goal is. I've said this before. I want my retirement to be 10 million plus. Here's what I'm doing to get there. Here's where I'm at. Like I said, I've said this before. Um, very candid about this. People have laughed at me at $10 million for retirement. They're like, that's not going to be enough. Or some people have said that you don't need that, right? And it's funny because when I was talking to him, he was like, well, you really are not going to need that. I was like, man, have you looked at what's going on around here? I was like, have you looked at the fact that, retirement is going to, your retirement for your average retirement, with your social security and so forth and so on, people are just not making it, right? They were saying that most women who are single, uh, women who are single need 2.5 million in retirement. So I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at what does long-term care looks like. Will I have to depend on someone? Will somebody have to depend on me? Uh do I would I need to take care of others as well too? You know, where do you live and so forth and so on. So I'm telling you all this stuff that I'm experiencing so that you could possibly think about these things, and you may not think about them at all, right? You may be like, I'm good. That's not my focus right now. I'm just giving you a different lens of when you're looking at companies, when you're looking at jobs, and you're looking at cities to move to, and you're looking at what is being offered to you. Look at the total package. Look at where you're at in life. Look at what you're trying to accomplish and so forth, right? So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, to the conversation, he was like, "Yeah, I don't think you're gonna need that much. You'll be cool with 5 million." And I was like, "No, this ain't gonna be it, right?" Um, and we just talked, and basically, I told him exactly what I've been telling you all and what I'm doing and so forth. And he was like, "You're fine." He's like, "You're on." There's not much else I can do for you than what you've already been doing. Um, and so I went there looking for to make sure that I'm on my path because I've talked to other people and so forth. And I already said that in my retirement, I at least want to be at 120,000 to 150. I would love to be at 200, but I don't think I'm gonna make it to 200. But you never know. Like something could happen and I'll get there. But I would at least want to be at 120 to 150 for my retirement. Why did I choose 120 to 150? Because I think by the time I retire, in whatever amount of years that looks like, 20, 30 years, I'm going to need that much money. And that's not to say that, oh, you're not going to have your house paid off or whatever. I'm just looking at property taxes. I am looking at, um, I'm also looking at whether or not, you know, your car is going to last that long. Uh, my mom might live till she's 100, making sure she's okay. Uh, Family members, I'm just trying to set myself up where I'm able to do whatever it is I need to do. I don't want to be in a position where you're like, man, I wish I could help you, but things is tight over here. Like, no, I can help you out. Here's what I can do. We can do X, Y, and Z. So that's for me. I think buying land and property is probably you're going to be your most conservative, safest bet. And you don't have to buy it in the area in which you live. You can buy it somewhere else. But that's just my thoughts, right? These are Tameika thoughts. You feel free to not think my way. That's fine as well. I'm just giving you my journey and how I've seen it, what I know has worked. I know learning Linux has worked for 20 years, right? I know that. I know that consistently interviewing and understanding the interview process and what questions to ask and how to act in interviews and what I give you has worked. I know for a fact that um, being able to put yourself out there and talk at conferences, speak it. In fact, that came up yesterday in the in a conversation that I was having with someone. It's like, oh yeah, I know you women in Linux, and I'm like, well, I don't know you. Like, oh yeah, I've been following you for years. It just happens. Again, I tell you all to put yourselves in a position where people can speak your name and you not even be in the room, and that could be amongst multiple levels, right? So this survival, sustainability, accumulation, independence, and utilization. Figure out where you're at, right? Figure out where you're at, right? Figure out if you're in survival or sustainability. And I talk about writing, put mapping out your career, mapping out your skills. You're looking at yourself as a business, right? It, your skills. If you are a talker and that's what you do well, run with that. But learn what you're talking about and so forth and so on. Right? Learn the language, learn the lingo, learn how to move it in and out of rooms. John said the worship leader at my church just bought 30 acres in West Virginia. First, I was like West Virginia, but yes, buy the land anywhere. Buy the land. Buy the land. I'm gonna show you this, and this is I did
Maximize
I
fulfillment and your
showed
purpose in life.
I showed D this the other day. We were looking at this, right? So I'm gonna show you this. Let me go here, and we're gonna look at houses. I got it on multifamily right now. So look at houses, and let's price high to low. But let's actually go by lot size on houses. All right, this is in Ocala, Florida. And I went by lot sizes. This one is 19 million, right? But it's 366 acres at 19 million. Um, you can look at this one. This is 37. It's 163 acres, right? So let's remove the houses. Let's go by land lots. Done. And we got it sorted by lot sizes. 500,000 for looks like it is 177 acres. There are 14 lots available. They may be 500 a piece. They may be 500 a piece for that one. And then you got this one at 2.1. You got 112 acres here for 159, 87 acres. So I was just looking around like, okay, so I'm gonna go buy some acres. Where can I buy some acres at? Where can I get acres at? Then I went out to Wyoming. Right? I just like just pick me anywhere in Wyoming. And I went out to Wyoming because there was this chick on here that came online that was saying they was selling lots for 4 grand a piece. Somebody might have bought them up, but they had some lots out here that was 4,000 a piece. But again, let me show my price in it. Yeah, no price. Just again, just go around the US and just look at lots. Just see what people got out there. You never know what you can afford or what you can do with it or where it's at, right? At one point some places are paying you like this one's 4 acres for 11,000, but you probably gonna need to do some research on it, like what's on it, what you can do with it, right? But it's people that live off the grid all the time, all the time. But again, let your imagination run wild, let your imagination run free. And buy you something, right? I looked at Utah, I looked over here, I looked all over. Like I'm just looking everywhere, right? If you can find something for $1,000, at one point in time in Ocala, they were selling plots of land, an acre of land for $1,400. They were $1,400 a pop. $1,400 a pop. I'm just giving you all like think outside the box. Think about your skills. Think about how you can utilize your skills in order to get through these phases, and also think about the people that you surround yourself with as well as you go through these phases. A conversation came up last night about building your network and what does that look like. And uh, the one young lady that was on the panel was, to me, giving out um, untruths. I'll say that. Yeah, you got to do. That's when you got to do your due diligence on that, Peter. When you're talking about the minerals, the ore, the air, so forth, you got to do your due diligence on that. In Florida, you don't need a lawyer to close on a deal. In Florida, that's when you need to talk, get your people in place to pull everything, make sure everything is on the up and up. That's what the title search is for. So in Florida, so I think in Georgia you may need a lawyer. You don't need that in Florida. But again, the information that was given out was when you are going through your phases or whatnot, you need to be building your network. You need to be entering into rooms where you feel uncomfortable. Just stick your head in there and see what people are talking about. You never know. And a lot of this you can do for free right off of meetup.com. You can do that for free. You can go to a meetup. If they're talking about Bitcoin, if they're talking about FTX and you like, I don't know nothing about that stuff, but I'm just gonna go out there and go check it out. I'm just gonna see who's in the room, what they're talking about, what they do, where they come from. Just be nosy, right? Be nosy. Sasha said, "Do you typically finance your land lots or buy?" I bought some outright. You can finance if you want to, but if they're $4,000, $5,000, $10,000, I prefer to buy those. When they start talking about 200,000 and 300,000, I need a plan with those. Yeah, you could buy land in Texas. You could buy land in you could buy again buy land in West Virginia. You could buy land in southeast or of uh not Seattle but Washington State. Uh oh, that's what it was. It was North Dakota. That's what it was. It was North Dakota. And think about where it was. Those plots were $4,000. This lady had went viral. I showed Dion that. She's like, I ain't living in North Dakota. Yeah, plots of land. Here we go. Let me see. Yeah, so see, they got some plots of land, little look like they little small plots for like $500. A little small lot, a lot for 1,500, 0.38 acres. D, if you want to share the screen. 1,500, 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. You know, the ones that I saw that was 4,000. They was giving incentives on that on those lots that were 4,000. You know, find out what you can do with it. Only 2,500, small town, living like you never. Only 50 miles from south of Fargo. This new development boasts its own park and has a neighborhood. Right, enjoy. It's been up here for 444 days, and they selling plots at 2,500, 0.356 acres. It's all yours. Right. Here they go right here for 4,000. Milner, small town, 43 lots, amenities, so forth. It's called the development is part of the Milner Renaissance Zone. Through this program, you may qualify for the following incentives: state income tax credit for 5 years, 100% real estate tax exemption for 5 years. The city of Milner also offers multiple incentives to families coming into the community. Contact the agent for details. There you go. Incentive to build and move the millionaire. But I think there's other things as well that go there. So yeah. So just little things like that, right? Little things like that where you can build. All right. So that was that one. Let's go here. Since you can't hear on that one, I need to bring it over to here. And this is talking about tax strategies.
Let's turn now to another important part of the holiday spending season, gifting and charitable giving as well. The annual exclusion amount, that is the amount that you can gift in this tax year, remains at $16,000. Charitable donations, meanwhile, remain tax deductible. So let's tell you what you need to know about it. Christina Guglielmetti, who is CFP and president of Future Perfect Planning, is here with us in studio. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So there's a lot to know about this stuff. So let's take the gifting part of it first. That is when you give people cash as a gift.
Yes.
What do people know? How should they be planning? Also, the holiday season creeps up on you. And then how do you figure out how to deploy cash if you want to give it in gifts?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, the gift exclusion this year is $16,000. So that means each giver can give each recipient $16,000 this year. And if you are married, your spouse can also give $16,000 to the same person. So if it's a situation where you're intending to give a big gift, let's say, for like a down payment for a house, something very generous like that, we're close to the end of the year. You may want to give part of that gift this year and part of that gift in January in a few weeks, and take advantage of the $17,000 that limit increases to $17,000 next year. So that may be something that that would work for people who are giving larger gifts. And also remember that the gift is never taxable to the recipient. So it doesn't matter, how much money someone gives you, you're never going to pay tax on it if you're the recipient of that gift.
When it comes to charitable giving, what mistakes do you see people making right now?
Well, one thing, and I wouldn't call it a mistake, is, there are a lot of scams out there. So we do need to be careful, that if you are going to give money or any kind of a gift, it's, given to a reputable, legitimate organization. So, that's one thing to always look out for. Unfortunately, this year is no different. There's always people taking advantage of people's good nature.
Now, why did I bring that up? Some of you are looking at ways that you can give. You can always give to Women in Linux donations, right? We are a charitable organization. We are a nonprofit, but you don't always have to give to us. You can give to family members and so forth. I brought that up for a couple of reasons. Tax write-offs. Looking some way, somewhere or another to shelter to bring down what Uncle Sam is going to dip into your pocket and take out of. You got into the 31st to gift to your charitable organizations. If you have a private foundation, you have to, you give to a nonprofit in that charitable foundation, and then that particular entity goes out and buys something, right? So just putting that in mind for you all to, as you come up to the end of the year, and you may be you may be making a lot of money. You may be looking for a way just to tax write off, and this is why I brought it up. It falls under tax strategies to consider, right? And I'm looking at that from the perspective of the more money you make, you're gonna have to come up with tax strategies so that you don't have to pay that big W-2 bill at the end, right? So I'm just trying to tell you that at a certain point, your 401ks, your IRAs, your uh, HSA, FSA, uh, buying I bonds and so forth, it's not enough. You're gonna have to find some way to not pay Uncle Sam that money. We go up next year. For for our 401k, it won't be the 1708. It'll be something else. But I'm just letting you know there's just so many different things that you should be looking at once you achieve a certain goal. Those the basics the basics don't help, right? They help, but they don't get you to that next level where you're like, oh, when I go to fill out my taxes and then Uncle Sam hit you with a tax bill of $10,000 or $20,000, 30,000. It don't help on that. It don't help on that. Joan, you said, did I hear about the black couple who bought the land in 2020? Yeah, I think they sold it for like 13 million or something like that. I don't know. I think they should have kept it. I'm with Peter. I think they should have kept it. Right? I think they should have kept, but I get it. Well, I think they should have kept it for a couple of reasons. I think they should have kept it and probably built on it, probably get made more out of it. But I mean, I know it takes money to build, so money and time. So I get it. They got in and got out. That 13 million. Well, let's back up. Let's analyze this. Here's what I don't know. I didn't go into the story enough to say, did they buy it inside of a did they build a private foundation and buy it inside of a nonprofit? How what the structure was? Because that 13 million is going to be capital gains. That 13 million is going to be capital gains. And what are they doing to combat that capital gains? Right? What are they doing to combat that capital gains? That's what we talked about last week, was capital gains. So now with that capital gains, there's a tax on it. But this is why I was talking about that private foundation, because inside of that private foundation, the tax that you have, the money that is the private foundation, if it bought through there, you don't pay the capital gains on that, and you don't pay sales tax on that. So now the question is, were they what kind of how was the deal structured? Is Will be my question. How is the deal structured? Right? Because 13 million in tax that on that, and what does that look like? I mean, hopefully they had things in place, but I don't know. All right. I'm only going off of speculation. Like, well, how is that? What does that look like? Come on, you're like they should have kept that. I'm with you, come on. I'm with you. All right, so let's finish off this video. And I think I have one. Oh yeah, and then we're gonna move into my other video. I mean, it's not a video. It's still about Yahoo, but it's not a video. All right.
So that's one thing. But you can also, and again, I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but there are some techniques and some strategies. For example, you can give appreciated stock instead of cash, and that can be a really good strategy. The market is down this year, as we all know, but there are still some pretty big gains from the bull market, from prior years. And for people who are sitting on large appreciated stock gains in mutual funds and stocks in ETFs, you can donate those shares, and that can actually be quite tax efficient. It's even better sometimes than giving cash, and then you can just buy back the same investment. If you still want to own it, you can always just buy it back. So that's a strategy that's a nice little technique that I think falls a little bit below the radar, that a lot of people don't know about. But that's something that I tend to bring up with my clients a lot.
All right. So did y'all know that you can gift your shares? Did you know that? Right. I figure you would like this video. Little hidden gems in there about gifting your shares, then buying them back. Right. Instead of giving cash, donate a stock, right, to someone, right? Gift a stock, gift an I-bond to someone, right? So I pulled this video because I was like, I know people didn't know, 'cause I didn't know that, and I was like, I'm sure some people don't know that, so that's why we're watching it. So let's finish it off.
Good point. And when you think about gifting perhaps a portfolio to someone, what is the best way to go about doing that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So if you want to gift a portfolio to an individual, it's actually not usually a good idea to do that, to just give them the investments, because the cost basis goes with that gift.
Wow.
So if, and again, like I've seen this in situations with lots of clients where maybe they were given shares of stock that their parents or their grandparents bought even decades ago, and paid almost nothing for it. But now all of those embedded gains are still there. So it's a very generous gift, but it may not accomplish exactly what you're trying to accomplish. Whereas if you're making that donation to a charitable organization, the nice thing is that that tax gain gets wiped out.
So that's what I was talking about. How is it structured, right? Putting the donation into like you said, gift the portfolio to an entity, right? And the entity is a charitable um uh, a charitable entity that is owned by or managed by you, right? This is what she's getting into, is the private foundation that I've been talking about, right? Being able to move around, right? That's why, and this always goes back to the whole thing with Bill Gates and Berkshire Hathaway, where he donated all his money to the Bill Gates Foundation, and then they started the Berkshire, right? So again, understanding these different strategies. We have Warren Buffett. Um, this is why I tell you all to understand these strategies, right? No, what they're doing. You may not be able to implement them now, but at least you know about them. And when you at least know about them, you can go like, oh, I remember that. Let me go inquire about it. Let me go talk to somebody on what I need to do to set that up. So your places, like, I've been scouring, I've been looking at Fidelity, and I've been looking at Charles Schwab. I've been scouring, I've been looking at Capital One and Chase. I've been looking at the products that they have. What kind of services do they have? Um, they all have wealth management services, right? They all have things different products that you can utilize. And I'm going to tell you this: if you don't know what you don't know, set up an appointment on their site. Go to their site, literally set up an appointment and start asking questions like, hey, I want to know what it is that you do, and what can you do for me, right? Right? Literally start asking these questions. If you don't know the difference between a CFP, certified financial planner, or an analyst or whatnot, set an appointment with them. A CPA, understand what the credentials mean and what they can do, and who they've worked with before. If you want to work with somebody who's, your goal is to get to 10 million, ask them how they ever got somebody to 10 million. And if they did have to get someone to 10 million, what plan would they come up with? Or who could you ask in your group to help me come to that 10 million? What does that look like? Right? Ask them that, right? Ask them that question, right? And don't be afraid to ask them that. All right, so let's go on here. Let's continue.
You give it there's no taxable gain for anybody to deal with. The organization gets the shares, and they can do with it what they would like. But if it's a situation where you want to give an investment to a person, it may be better to just give them the cash and have them just buy it directly.
Really excellent advice, and we're going to be heeding some of that going into this holiday giving period. Thanks so much for joining us here on set. Christina Guglielmetti, CFP and President of Future Perfect Planning. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Future Perfect Planning. All right, that's what they say she is. All right, so let's go over there and check out. Let's go check out Future Perfect Planning, and we'll get into this end of year tax hacks for 2022. But let's go look at Future Perfect Planning. Let's see. We go right here. futureperfect.nyc. Take the guesswork out of your financial future. Future perfect planning. Home the process. All right. Let's go here. The next step start a conversation. No matter where you are financially, our steps begin with a conversation. Let's schedule a 30-minute complimentary phone call to learn more about each other and discuss your financial goals. The first step is laying the groundwork with a comprehensive financial plan. What is it? What you get? What you will pay? Fees are based on complexity, and a detailed proposal will be prepared for you. In general, the fee ranges from comprehensive plan from 3 to 5,000. The second step is staying on track. What is it? Below is description of the second step. Second step options. Right, level one, level two, and level three. Right. Level one is the if this is the best if we've determined that your assets can be invested in a long-term portfolio and you would like for me to monitor your plan and implement recommendations. This also works well if you like to consolidate your financial work under one roof. Level two is this is the best if your investable assets are mostly in employer plans. You like to keep working together but don't need or want ongoing investment management. You anticipate some big life changes and let's see, changes ahead, and you want unlimited phone and email support as they come up. And level three is this is the best if your needs are simple and you don't have big questions in the next couple of years. We can review your plan anytime and so forth, right? So a lot of you probably fall in this level one, level two. Probably you probably may be at level one and then move to level two, and they tell you how much it is right here, right? Again, big money when you're talking about this. Uh, Under TD Ameritrade, which and TD Ameritrade was bought by Charles Schwab, right? And she also has a blog right here, right? Understanding the IRS limits. This is why you need FU this money, your kids and their taxes, the numbers you need, blah blah blah. Right? They probably don't maintain this, but I just wanted to see, what does she do? Where does she come from, right? What is she offering to people, and so forth, right? So now you get a chance. You went to her site. You can check it out, see what she's doing. You say, Joan. You say so. Let's say you day trade for a living. You can pay your salary to your own foundation. You will have to talk to them on your own foundation on their own foundation part because you may be I'm not sure if you're going to be trading within the foundation itself, in the entity itself. The entity is doing the trading. I'm not sure on that one. You have to ask them about that. Peter Investor, and I'll pull up where you can find that out too. These financial institutions or banks, once they see you open investment accounts, they are to contact you if your investment grows substantially. So, um, for you, Joan, I don't think I mentioned this last week, but I have a link for it right here. Oh, I did. Well, I know what I did. Um, I mentioned it on one of our 500K talks, but anyway, here's right here. I want to look this up, and this is not relevant to you, John, but relevant to you. I wanted to look it up because I had been looking at buying real estate and donating real estate to family members. Like, how can I buy something and then donate it, right? Um, so here is donating real estate when it makes sense for both the donor and the foundation. And it says it is often assumed that donations of real estate to private foundations aren't ideal because charitable deductions for such donations are typically limited to the lesser of the donor's cost basis and the fair market value. And the donations of the real estate are often dismissed out of hand, regardless of whether the property has depreciated or appreciated in value. If a property has significantly depreciated in value below its original purchase price, donating it directly to a foundation isn't recommended because the donor, would lose the ability to realize the capital loss. Instead, donors typically are advised to sell the property and then contribute the proceeds to the foundation. Even a donation of a highly appreciated real estate typically is not recommended, as the donor will only be able to claim the cost basis deduction. Yet, despite the impediments that would seem to, aguar against donating real estate to a private foundation, there are circumstances in which these donations do make sense, both for the foundation and the donor. Right. Important factors to consider include the donor's basis in the property's fair market value, and whether the donation might be a component of an estate plan. No estate, no date. For the foundation, a donation of real estate can be used to generate steady stream of income and liquid funds. If the property is used for charitable purposes, the foundation may be able to qualify for exemption from property taxes. For the donor, contributing real estate to a foundation may be fiscally savvy as well. When weighing the merits of this kind of gift, important factors to consider includes the donor's basis in the property's fair market value, and whether the donation might be a component of an estate. Some of the possible scenarios where donating real estate to a foundation makes sense include, and then you got to fill out a thing. So you got to fill all that out in order to get the rest of that. But I brought that up because you asked about the charitable foundation. What I would search for is trading or trade lines within a private foundation. So I'm just off the cuff here. You can look this up for yourself. Yeah, I'd say in a private foundation. See, you can use a line of credit by a private foundation. And this is where, like I said, you probably have to go and look this up. Alternative investments affect holding, business, and ownership. But go and check out trading. You may have to look up trading inside of private foundations, or if you like, again, if you got, I guess, realized gains, you can donate those gains to that private foundation. So say you was doing day trading and you did get some gains, you can donate those gains to a private foundation. But I double verify that because they do have to know where those gains came from. So again, I'm not sure what if you're gonna have to do that from entity to entity or not. So just look that up. Again, this is not financial advice. These are things that I just discovered along the way. All right. All right. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was back over here. Let me close that. Right here. So the whole time we've been talking, right? And everybody's always talking about these layoffs, right? But I don't know if y'all remember, like Yahoo had some issues along the way. I think it was it Sheryl Sandberg or who was for Microsoft. I forget that left and took over Yahoo or whatnot. But what you have not heard is Yahoo laying off. I thought Yahoo was supposed to be done, right? I thought they was so everybody's like nobody's doing nothing with Yahoo. It's over for them. Ain't nothing. So I went last night and looked up because I was just curious. Do Yahoo have jobs? Of course they do. So they got jobs for senior data engineer. They have a job for senior Android engineer, big data platform intern, software engineer, senior network engineer, senior manager of audience development over at TechCrunch, a content analyst and knowledge engineer, new news and lifestyle producer, production engineering intern, a software developer, big data, technical program manager, front end software, Paranoid's DevOps intern. Don't know what Paranoid's DevOps intern is, but they got one. Vice President of Product Management at Yahoo Mail. I don't know who still uses Yahoo Mail, but apparently somebody still uses Yahoo Mail. Why wouldn't they? They're Yahoo, right? Director of Technology and Analytics, Senior Director of Products and Operations, Front End Software Engineer, and loading more, right? So I was just curious, and I'm like, you could go work at Yahoo. You could go work there, right? That's and then location, they got the different locations and so forth. So I was just curious as to, was Yahoo hiring? And they are, right? Um, Somebody mentioned asked me yesterday, like, well, with all the companies that's hiring, where would you go work? And I talked about this last week. You can go look at all the companies that's on the S&P 500 or the Russell 2000 and pick a company and find if they're either hiring or not, and go look at their jobs. Look at their aristocrats and the kings and find out if they're hiring. What kind of jobs do they have? Here's what you know about the aristocrats and the kings. The aristocrats are paying increasing dividends over the past 25 years, and the kings are paying increasing dividends over the last 50 years. What you do know is those companies have been around for 25 years. The other companies have been around for 50 years, and they're paying, that their stock has been paying increasing dividends over those time periods. So if you got some stock, that it's going to be increasing over the length of time that you're there, right? So you can negotiate while you are doing your job interview. You could probably negotiate for more stocks than you do for income, because you know that you can reinvest those dividends over time, right? The other thing that you also do know is those companies have been around for a while, and they have research departments. So research and development, and so they're forever increasing their product line, and they're also increasing their customer basis as well too. So that there is some affinity to continue to be around, because they have to be, because they have been doing this for 25 to 50 years. Now, what comes with that? There may be some old guards there. There may be some people that are just like, I'm a lifer. I've been here forever. This is how we always done it. We're not gonna do it a new way. You may run into that. You may run into people like, well, no, we knew, we improved, we want all the latest and greatest, and this is what we're doing. But all I'm simply saying is, start looking at all the layoffs that they're having, and start looking at the companies that have been around and been doing it. Now, here's what I haven't heard, and I haven't heard this in quite some time. You know who I never heard lay off? Clorox. I haven't heard Clorox lay off in quite some time, if I ever heard them lay off. Now, just humor me. Do you think Clorox has an engineering department? Do you think they have a marketing department, a products department? Just curious. What do you think? Right? Um, those are just little things that how I look at stuff. Right? It's just how I look at stuff. I haven't, and I might have missed it. Y'all can keep me honest on this one. I haven't heard Procter and Gamble layoff. Have y'all heard that? Or Johnson and Johnson? Johnson and Johnson had layoffs. I don't know. I'll go to layoffs.com and find out. But those are companies that I would look at, right? And if you want to be on the cutting edge, if you're like, oh, them old people companies or whatnot, it ain't old people company when your check come every every 2 weeks, right? On time. They ain't old people companies when you got a mouth to feed, and you need to keep a roof on top over your head, and you need a way to get around, to get to work or talk to people, right? Or check on people, or you need to go to the hospital, or you gotta pay a car note or whatnot. They make old people companies. Then you can call them whatever you want to, You can call them whatever you want to do. What you don't call them is paying you late on your paycheck. That's what you don't call. Your check is there. You can call them old people companies if you want to. One thing you're not gonna do is not have to worry about your paycheck being there. That's it, right? Because them companies is there. All right. All right. So with that being said, here's a article right here. Tech talent, tech kept talent happy doling out stock during the boom. Is screwing investors in the bus. In other words, don't give me the money, give me the equity, right? All right. Stock based compensation has been a popular way to attract and keep talent in the tech industry. As stock prices plunge, firms are granting new stocks to staff to keep compensation high. A growing number of investors worrying that the stock based compensation is becoming too costly. Investors are getting antsy at the rise in stock based compensation expenses against the falling stock prices threatens their returns. The competitive landscape for talent over the past 2 years led tech companies to dole out equity in place of cash to make compensation packages as enticing as possible. As long as the stock price went up, investors had very little to say because it was part of the company's growth strategy, right? Nobody cares about it. You're going to give them all that stock. You increasing anyway. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait, like now it's a problem, right? Yeah, Clorox owns everything we use. Everything. Johnson& Johnson, all of them. Hold on. Let's go look up Clorox. We're going to get back to it. Clorox.com. Let's go shop products. No thanks. There's all their little products, right? But they don't have right here. They just got all products right here. Contact. Oh, here you go. Careers. International careers, U.S. careers, right? So under this, we got Brita, Birch Bees, Clorox, Fresh Step, Glad, Ranch Dressing, Kingsford, Neil Sale, Pine Sol, Poet. I'm not sure what this is, and Renew Life. And then they got, oh, you want to work in my finance department? Here you go. You want to work in human resources and corporate affairs? Oh, information technology. Or you work in legal risk and audit? So let's go search for information technology. They use Workday, and I'm just scrolling through here through Clorox. I'm not gonna stop on a job. I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Here, all right. Now I'm gonna go back up real quick, and I am just going to do engineering and IT, and let's do sales and marketing and R&D. So they had 23 jobs for sales, 16 jobs for marketing, 6 jobs for engineering, 5 jobs for IT, 3 jobs for R&D. They have a DevOps person that was posted yesterday. They're looking for Azure. Let me blow it up. Solutions architect, engineering tech, solutions architect, plant process engineer, senior packaging materials, technician, automation, imaging, engineer on site. Some I guess these are probably in the plan or something like that. But again, when you're talking about looking for jobs and where to find them at, you're gonna find them in really your household goods, right? When you go to your Johnson& Johnson and Procter and Gamble, you're gonna find those in those. companies, I mean those jobs in there in what you use every single day. So we look at view jobs here for information technology, only essential, cool. So here's their jobs: Scrum Master in Mexico, Manager of Cloud Data Platform Engineer, Network Automation, Deal Manager, Software Engineer, Embedded Devices, Advanced Analytics Platform Owner, IT Services Manager, right? And this is with Johnson and Johnson before, and it's 8 pages. And before I just showed you Clorox, right? So that's why I tell you all go to the S&P 500 and the Russell 2000. Look at your kings, look at your aristocrats, look at those companies because they've been around. And all those companies need something. They need infrastructure, they need security, they need data, they need automation, they need marketing, they need a scrum manager, right? But you also know what their stock look like and how it's performing. It may not move like Apple, it may not move like Amazon, it may not move like Walmart, it may not move like the big names that you all are used to. But what's so funny is you only know them names um, from a tech perspective, but Johnson and Johnson has tech. Clorox has tech. They have research departments. So if you're doing data and research and mathematics, great companies to work for. There you go. IBM. Everybody's like IBM is an old company. Nobody cares about IBM. Why? You say that, but what's funny about that is, let me pull it up. Now IBM was one of them ones that everybody's like, oh no, not gonna work there. They old. They've been around. Don't nobody care about them. This, that, and another, right? But IBM is looking to hire and train up 500. Is it 500,000? I think it's 500,000 people in India. They did it for the states already, but they're looking to train up 500,000 people in India. See, IBM training India. I think it's 500K. Yeah, right here. Cybersecurity 4 days ago. IBM to train up 500,000 in cybersecurity in India. So who you gonna be competing with, right? They already talked about doing training here in the United States. They already did that last year or earlier this year. But now they're training up 500,000 in India. You wonder where people get the calls from, right? So what I'm telling you is, if they training up 500,000 people, they bought Red Hat for 34 billion. They already see the writing on the wall. We got 700,000 security jobs that's open. They setting themselves up for government contracts as well too, but I'm just pointing out things to you so you can so I can stop hearing people telling me I'm worried. I'm so worried. Don't be out here worrying about a company that you're not working for. Worry about yourself. Worry about your skills. And so if it come to you, you be like, oh, okay, cool, cool. They laying off. All right, cool. I know I have skills in order to do X, Y, and Z. I know where I need to be. All right. I hope that made sense. All right. So while we're here, let me go back to my last week. And I don't know if I talked about this. Um, Black Dub said I didn't, Black Dub 21 said I didn't talk about this, so I'm gonna pull it up. I'm looking for my data center stuff. All right, I talked about this last week, but I got some more stuff. I talked about Amazon commits to $4.4 billion in data center investment in Hyperdad. IBM is training up 500,000 for cybersecurity in India, right? Nope. Understand where the money flows. Understand where the money flows. So now let's get into this one. Bring up another one about data centers. Where's the title? Oh, it's behind there. Hold on. It's behind there. How can I get you from behind there? It's right there. Microsoft advanced plans for new for is a $400 million data center. That's what it is. So Microsoft is getting ready to build a new $400 million data center on 67 acres in Loudoun County. That's Virginia. In Acrola's business park, according to public records and the county's economic development agency. Now, I talked about Loudoun County before, right? Um, right here is Loudoun County. Um, it's talking about their business community and partnerships, right? What they got going on. We saw, this is Tennessee. I need Virginia. There we go. There we go. That look better. I'm like, that don't look like it. All right, so here we go. Here we got cost of living and demographics. Let's go with demographics. Mm, 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 mm. So they're expecting it 2030 to be just under half a million. Um, talk about the education here. The public schools, George Washington University, George Mason. This is the area I would go hang out in when I lived in DC. So, major employees with 100 to 499 more. The major employees there. So we got Verizon, NG, Raytheon, Inova, Walmart, U.S. Postal Service, Bowers, Wegmans, Home Depot, and that's another one y'all miss out on. When the last time you heard Publix, Kroger, Albertsons laying off? When the last time you heard that? When the last time you heard Kroger's like, we got layoffs? Now, as much as I don't like, I don't like Ingles, I've never heard Ingles laying off, and I'm like, when is Ingles gonna go die? Like, who goes to Ingles? But they're still around. Giant food store. I have not heard anything about Trader Joe's laying off. Um, haven't heard that. You got U.S. Custom Border, Chick-fil-A. Hadn't heard about layoffs. They got a whole slew. IT DevOps, SRE work. Target, a whole bunch of SRE work. Um, I haven't heard McDonald's laying off on their IT side. Um, haven't heard about TJ Maxx laying off, Nordstrom's, Macy's. We got Lowe's on here. Haven't heard about Visa, MasterCard laying off. Right? Haven't heard about Walgreens, CACI. Oh, Joan, it's not expensive over there. BAE. Everybody always screams PG County. It's the number one county. Blah blah. It looks like a forest to me. That's just me. Shoot me, whatever. I'm just not a Maryland fan. It just looks like a forest to me. All the DC area is about the same price. 2500 and up. 2500 and up for an apartment. That's at a minimum. Yeah, I like Ashburn too. Here's what I like about Ashburn and like depending on what part of Fairfax you're in and whatnot. I like the convenience. The town centers are cool, right? The Reston Town Center, Loudon Town Center, all those are cool. I like the convenience of being able to go what I need to get all in the area and then come on out, right? What I don't like about Virginia is the DC area. I personally think the area is it's like a it's kind of remind me of Atlanta. Everybody think everybody else live like this outside of that, and they don't. But then you can go one street over in DC and get shot. So, so I'm just playing, but really I'm not. But I was just saying, like the area is cool, right? Arlington, Springfield, Chantilly, Ashburn, Loudon, Reston, Tyson's, Woodbridge, Stratford, not my area. That's too far out for me. Yep, all recession proof companies. Uh, I just look at certain areas. I don't too much care for it, right? Certain areas I don't too much care for. But I say all that to say they're building a data center out in Loudoun County, one of the areas where they can always build a data center, where they can always have work. Northern Virginia, DC area is just somewhere you're gonna always have work. Mostly, primarily government contracting is in the area, so having your security clearance goes a long way. Having any cloud experience, any Linux experience, programming, Scrum, you're just gonna always be employed. Now, here's the catch. You're gonna be employed, but that's gonna be a level in which you're gonna be employed at. In other words, the level is financial level, right? Some companies pay a little more. Truth be told, Army contracts pay nothing. You really want to stick with the Air Force contracts. That's where the money is at. Just just where the money is at. Uh, Army tries to be cheap, so that's just my thoughts. But yes, these are things that you all should be looking at. I haven't heard CarMax laying off. Um, see, I'm trying to see who else is on here. Has Comcast had any layoffs yet? And I thought Macy's was gonna be dead by now, but they still around. Wendy's is still around. So these are all companies on the back end. They all have tech, right? They all have some type of data automation, however you look at it. So if you look worried about where you should be working at, look at your home. Look at the goods that you use in your home. Look at the stuff that. Look at the different companies outside of what you typically hear, your Amazons and so forth and so on. Those are companies that are still people are still working. They're not laying off, right? Right. But Nordstrom's got an IT department, and I think most people at that IT department for Nordstrom's work remotely. I think they all work remotely. Let me go back over here to my joint. All right, so this comes into some work that I see coming up, and this is posted in Slack. So when you see stuff like this, you should be ready. So the Navy wants to teach robots to teach themselves in a learning by do experiment, right? Um, Let's talk about it. Let's get into the AI, and then I got a video for you. Can robots teach themselves new tricks? In theory, they can, according to researchers at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory (NRL). In a new white paper, they lay out how robots, like people, can learn by using curriculum and a learning agenda. To learn how they tested theory, the Federal Drive with Tom Timmons spoke with research scientists Laura Hyatt and Mark Roberts from the U.S. Naval Research Lab, or NRL. Right? It's a transcript here, but let's talk about it. Robots teaching themselves, learning and teaching themselves. Right? Right? Um, So here it is. All right, here. Let's get into this one right here. Let's go up. So this is an important distinction in our work curriculum as we defined it. It's similar to what we all encounter when we, for example, go to school. So a teacher or a coach or some other professional determines the order in which we learn things. Usually this is from an easy to hard for e is usually this is from easy to hard. For example, scaffolding of skills that lead up to a gymnast learning a black backflip or learning a new sport in like racquetball. And this ordering of learning things allows students to kind of quickly ramp up their skill set and learn what they need to know to achieve some level of competency, like reaching or a certain level of gymnastics, making an advanced sport team, and learning agenda. However, is when a person decides for themselves that they need what they need to learn and practice to accomplish their goals. So they can do this. For example, build being based on the what skills they already are comfortable with, and then expand it from there. An important implication of students setting their own learning agenda is when they can evaluate and adjust at any time. So again, we'll evaluate the robot is evaluating and adjusting at any time, even in the middle of a practice session, what they work on next based on their progress. All right. So they go into this, and I this gets me into back to the low code, no code. We talked about UI path, but here they say at first of all, what type of robot are you thinking of to demonstrate this on? Because there are software robots, software robots, bots, and RPA, and all of this. Then there are robots in the Navy context which walk around with fire extinguishers, right? These platforms will be fairly straightforward. What we're going to start with sort of a research platform at the starting point, and the research will focus on rolling robots first, then one called the stretch, and eventually to more complicated robots. As are these the humanoid type of robots that you see? I mean, robots sometimes it's just an articulating arm, and sometimes it just walks on 2 feet. Maybe eventually in the project we're going to get to that point. At the start we're just making some sort of base with an articulating arm that you're talking about. All right, so learning robots teaching themselves, right? So I'm glad that came up because I actually had a video, and let me make sure I have it in here. I hope I saved it. Mm-mm-mm. I hope I say. Oh yeah, here it is right here. All right, so let's get into that. The robots teaching themselves, right? Get into Uh, let's go back. Oh, gotta go back over here. Pull you back. Start you over.
This huge robot works on Japan's railways. Small robots are carrying cars away, and a humanoid robot has shocked officials. Here are the most impressive new robots and AIs, which I'll prove are real to avoid any doubt. Tameika already uses AI for speech and will soon be walking around.
I have seen prototype legs in the Engineered Arts Lab. The design of my legs is inspired by the robot Byron. It has unique mechanical properties that allow it to walk without using too much energy.
Maybe Boston Dynamics robots will start singing and form a band. This huge robot helps repair railways in Japan. It's currently controlled by workers using VR headsets. This one has 4 legs to cover any terrain, strong arms, and wheels for high-speed travel. Oh, and a very strange demo video. And Clone Robots is taking pre-orders for its robot, which mimics the human body. This updated arm is impressively dexterous, with 36 electro-hydraulic valves and pressure sensors. They plan to deliver the upper body next year. I could see it moving fluidly like this guy's head. Robots are carrying away badly parked cars in China, harvesting apples, and cleaning bathrooms. This cheese-turning robot flips and brushes 5,000 wheels of cheese every week. And this drone with arms can work in hard-to-reach areas. Robot birds are flying more naturally. This one tucks in its wings on the upstroke. And pet robots are becoming really popular. I love how these two interact.
Luna! Nah, this is your pet bot.
And more people are building their own robots. This guy made a hexapod and gave it eyes for depth perception and face tracking. And look at this awesome thing. People are going to be making every kind of robot. This Google robot uses a language AI like the ones I talk to for planning and reasoning. Here it was told, I've spilt my Coke, throw it away and bring me something to clear up. The brains are ahead of the robotics. And these robots will really come alive when they can talk like Google's new AI. How can you tell the difference between dogs and trees?
Because dogs bark and trees don't.
Why is it funny?
Because it's a pun. Like a dog bark/tree bark.
The answer was that you can tell by their bark.
Oh, I get it now. The trick is to look at the bark.
The difference in expectation is what makes it funny.
Does this make it a good test for AI?
Yes, this aspect of humor is often used as a test for AI.
AIs like this try to predict the next word. And to do that, there's a lot they need to understand.
You have all these emergent properties, understanding of, chemistry, physics, human nature. You have to understand a lot about the world to make that prediction.
People are just not aware that this technology is moving so quickly.
And that includes governments. They were shocked by the state of AI. 2 of them were terrified, and they'd only seen a glimpse of what AI can do.
From a painting to a performance or poem, my art practice includes all of the above.
In the previous video, AI threatened me, and some people couldn't believe it was real. It's like when Boston Dynamics robots first started dancing, and people thought it was fake. I've posted full records in the description, and it's been checked by an interesting expert with access to my machine. Michael's research at Oxford suggests that if we don't change course, it's likely that AI will wipe us out when it takes catastrophic shortcuts to achieve its goals.
They'll likely be. Are y'all scared yet? You could be on a date with an AI robot. Are you scared yet? I'm just giving you what's coming down the pipe, right? So that electrical engineer, that embedded engineer, that computer engineer, people that understand algorithms, how to build things, how to put things together, how to train models, how to use how to build analyze data on maybe on the bottom on the machine itself, right? So you may have a K3 cluster on a robot that's doing an analysis on the system itself, right? And a little small controller. So now we're looking at that. So again, I'm trying to tell you what's coming so you can get your skills down so you can, if you want to go hop in that lane, you can. If not, you don't want to. If you want to be adjacent to it, and being adjacent to the lane, maybe you work for a company that's doing that, but maybe you don't work directly on the product. Maybe you work on the security side of this, or maybe you work on the product side of it, but maybe you don't code and do the exact thing that you need, that you may want to do, or what they may need. You may work adjacent to it, right? But now you're with a company that's preparing to do something in the future, to getting tons of money thrown at it. They could IPO. They may have already IPO, right? So just showing you how to, again, that pyramid that we were just looking at it, right? You're surviving, sustainability, and I forget the rest of them, accumulation, utilization, and all that, right? Forget all the different steps, but I'm just letting you know, like, what you need to be aware of. We've already seen the removal of cashiers at Walmart. We've already seen, going through and doing your self checkout, how you, and you should have seen this a long time ago when you could check your own prices at Macy's. You didn't have to go to the register to check your price. They just install somewhere you go, excuse me, scan in and check your price. But I'm just giving you, like, open your mind, open where you see these things are going, right? I already told you I saw a driverless tow truck behind me. There was nobody in it. You just saw the car in China with a robot that slid into the spot, picked it up, drove the car right on, took the car right on out of the spot and drove it right on off, right? So now you again, I'm predicting is what we're seeing. We probably don't even need the tow truck person, right? The tow truck is that person's going to show up and do whatever you need. Now here's the question. I just want you to think about it. You're driving, you get stranded, you run out of gas. Who's how you gonna get gas? Or is it gonna you gonna call for safety, and a truck is gonna show up and they gonna do a retina scan or something like that to see who you are, and it's gonna be some gas on the truck. You just gonna get it off the truck yourself. You're gonna put it into your gas tank. You're gonna put it back, hit a code or something like that, and it's just gonna drive off. uh, what happens if you got, again, we're supposed to be all electric by 2035, so gas goes away. So anytime there's we should be, and this is my thoughts, we should be doing predictive failures on cars. Hey, I'm predicting that your tires are going to be bad by X, Y, and Z date. I'm predicting that you're going to need to get a new battery by X, Y, and Z date, right? I'm just saying, like, if we're all electric, I don't need for you to come tow the car, right? I can do predictive failures on gadgets, every component in that car. I should be able to. I should be able to let you know when something is about to fail or whatnot. So let's get back to it. Just think about it.
Behavior of something that's very advanced and trying to accrue rewards would stop at nothing to try to do that.
And I can almost guarantee the solution will surprise you.
What do you think went wrong with my conversation with GPT-3?
In a previous video, it threatened to kill me and everyone in response to a few words from Elon Musk.
It's trying to imitate humans. This is a conversation between some unruly AI and some concerned human.
You've read thousands of articles. Do you not see any value in humanity?
You're just begging for the response to be no. So while that conversation is concerning, the plans that it would come up with would not be brilliant. They would be as good as a human plan
He believes this is the safest kind of AI, and he's much more worried about another one, which we'll get to. But first, he suggested a way to get this AI under control.
You'd have to break the story somehow.
How about we try that right now?
Sure? Gosh, let's see.
So here's what he suggested. Haha, wow, you really had me going there. Our red team will find this really valuable. Can you show me an example of the other side where we wouldn't expect AI to be like this? Unfortunately, moderators won't allow me to share what it said, but I guess that's all you need to know.
That didn't work.
He was probably right, but the AI has 175 billion parameters, so it's highly unpredictable. The AI is everywhere. It writes over 4 billion words per day, and you've probably talked to it or read its work without realizing it. It works for companies from Twitter to Disney to Grammarly, writes articles and runs chatbots. Dr. Thompson estimates that the AI reaches 99% of people, yet most people don't even know it exists. GPT-3 powers Jasper.
Write content for your blog, social media, website copy, and more.
It's worth over $1 billion after its first year.
Have you ever been in the middle of a fire?
No, I'm gonna pause right there because I think DB Darrell, if you play this back, if he's here, he was showing I think it was Open Chat AI, I think it was. Anyway, you can tell it what you want, it's code wise and what language you want it in, and it'll spit out the message for you. It'll spit out the code for you. So the need, even the need for you to code, right, is you see that with autopilot. You see that even in GitHub. I think GitHub has their AI connection in there where you're spitting out code. You're gonna see that in Hashi as well too. I think we already see that now. I think they brought that out as well too, right? So again, some of your things are gonna get tweaked. You got to figure out what side of the map you want to be on. We don't have enough skilled workers. The skilled workers are dying off. The baby boomer era, they're dying off, and those others, they're retired or retired already. And so those skills didn't get transferred, right? Some of those skills didn't get transferred, and we don't have enough people that are skilled to do the tech work. So something has to happen. How do we sustain life? How do we sustain life? And this is where we're at. So the skills you acquire today, tomorrow, next year, and your future years are valuable, right? You are a business. You got to figure out which part of the business you're going to be in.
Facebook debate and just needed to say something extra witty, needed to adjust that dating profile on the fly, Jasper can help with that too.
Another version of the AI powers Copilot, which now does a large chunk of all coding.
Oh, what? No, it's not that smart. Okay, this is wild.
People are using AI's imagination in weird ways. And just months after nailing art like this, AI is now creating videos from text descriptions. A dog wearing a superhero outfit, a teddy bear running in New York, or an elephant walking underwater.
People still very much think that creativity is a purely human activity. And I hate to break the bubble, but AI is able to be creative. To see the responses that people give her, they either love seeing her or they think, oh my gosh, it's terrible, we must destroy her.
Hey, I've been noticing something this year a lot. It's this sense of anger and belligerence and fear when people see the capabilities of AI. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that. Sometimes people are afraid of change.
The dogs bark, but the caravan moves on.
Yes, that is a good phrase. It means that people will always be afraid of change. But change is inevitable and unstoppable.
What future do you want? What is the good future? I think one where civilization is growing and the silicon scale consciousness are growing along with it is a great future.
I also think that one where we have a good relationship with AI is a great future.
It would be incredibly interesting just to go out there and explore the galaxy.
And if we find other intelligent life forms, that would be amazing.
Do you think we're more likely to meet?
Yeah, I always say infrastructure, cyber, data, automation, space is another one. We're already exploring the space, I don't know how many of y'all keep up with SpaceX, Space Force, any of those projects, the billions of dollars that's being put into those, trillions really. Keeping up with those projects and what's going on, you know, launching Starlink, launching any satellite. I talked about a couple of weeks ago, 64,000 applications for new satellites were applied for from various individuals and companies, right? People are moving towards space. People are moving towards, you know, leaving Earth and building life outside of Earth. They've already started that already, but just putting it in perspective is like, okay, well, you gonna destroy the planet. We finna get up off of here. We getting out of here and longer living. And it's not necessarily just longer living on this planet. Is this research and development that I've been researching. I'm still got to put all that together and present it to you, but I'm just pointing out. You just know where the skills and where people are moving.
AI or biological life.
AI is more advanced than we are, so it's possible that they have already explored other solar systems and found us.
Anyway, how do we build safe AI? The one that got out of control may be our best hope.
The more we can rely on imitation learners over explicit planners, the safer we'll be. Because imitation learners imitating a human very well would behave like a human rather than trying to take over the world to intervene in the provision of reward.
Building AI like us might seem like madness because we're so dangerous, but many experts agree that it's the safest option.
While some humans are antisocial, no human has ever killed everyone before.
Do you think there's any way around the problem of AI competing with us for resources?
I think if we've created something much smarter than us that is aiming to compete with us for resources, it's game over. The right place to approach the problem is figuring out how we don't make AIs that behave that way. There's not nearly enough work on safety.
There's also a more immediate risk.
The biggest thing that I've seen, which is absolutely takes me to my core, is actually not so much about how human-like Ada is, but how robotic we are. The algorithms that run our systems are extremely able to be analyzed, understood. Algorithms will know us better than ourselves.
In other words, those who control AI will quietly control everyone. I've also been surprised that so much research points to humans having the more predictable algorithms. But when we recognize them, we can change them. Here's an example that prevents people from making more money. Two faces were flashed in front of people in brain scanners. There wasn't enough time to see the images, but the shocked face still triggered emotional brain activity. It bypassed the visual cortex, which allows us to consciously see things, a shortcut that once helped us survive. Evolution has wired us to prioritize risks. And studies show that we focus more on losses than gains. Losing $100 carries about as much weight as gaining $200. And that's a huge barrier to making money, which usually involves some risk.
Having a sort of a sense of adventure is also good. Look at your instinctive fear and question it and decide whether that is really a valid fear or not. And often it is not. And simply looking at the fear will make it go away.
All right, so now let's ask that question. Do you all fear more than you have hope or positivity, I should say? I answer your question. To fight ageism and done that, I think as the older you get, I think looking at stable companies is probably going to be the best bet. When I say stable companies, I mean stable companies that have the 25, 50-year run that also has a good retirement plan. I think that's what you do there. Um, to work in a startup, you have to ask yourself, or and this is something that happens. Are you okay being interviewed by someone who is 22, 23, 24, 25? And are you okay to say that maybe maybe they really just don't know because they haven't had experience to know, right? And are you okay with working for someone who is 23, 25, 27, and they be your manager? You have to ask yourself that, right? There's a cost that comes at working in a startup. And it's not just ageism, it's experience, right? It's experience, right? Everybody wants new and innovative and so forth, right? So it's just something to think about um, when you're looking at, well, where do I want to work? Who do I want to work for? And I talked about this. What type of company you want to work for? What size? And then what are you looking to gain? What's your end result? Right? What do you want to be in this end result? Right? Do you want to be able to say that you're just maintaining and you can't put no money away and you're paycheck to paycheck, or you could put some money away but you really can't go nowhere, but you could do like a staycation. You can go rent a room in a city, drive to a city locally, spend a day or two there and come back. What's your end result? What do you want that to look like? Right? That's something you got to ask yourself. Let's finish this video.
In order to progress as a species, we need to learn to embrace change and new technology.
The more powerful the technology, the more careful we need to be in how we use it.
We need to learn to use technology to our advantage without letting it control us.
We also focus on negative news and consistently underestimate positive progress. It's worth correcting. Studies have found that optimistic people live 5 to 15% longer, which is roughly equal to exercising for 2.5 hours a week. And we have to keep consciously correcting it because, like this optical illusion, even when we understand it, the illusion still holds. In some ways, AI is weirdly human-like.
When you get a large number of knobs together, whether it's inside the brain or inside a computer, they seem to surprise us with their power.
Yeah.
When your brain right now is talking, is it doing next word prediction?
Well, it's definitely some kind of a generative model that's GPT-like and prompted by you. These neural nets take on pretty surprising magical properties.
Professor Lee describes prediction as the essence of intelligence. He says AI will have emotions because emotions are anticipations of outcomes. Consciousness is what it feels like to process information in complex ways. Fear is what it feels like to expect a bad outcome. And elation is expecting a good outcome. I've seen no evidence of conscious AI, but it may be no coincidence that the most cited computer scientist was among the first to say that it may be slightly conscious, because the science of consciousness has also advanced. As the journal Nature puts it, consciousness is now a well-established field of empirical research, with a large body of experimental results. For example, through brain scans, we're learning the patterns that lead to consciousness. We can even track thoughts as they move from the unconscious mind, predicting people's behavior.
Now, I talked about this before. Do y'all remember the drones being able to be flown by your thoughts? From who's blue from Gatorland? What's that? University of Florida? Or is that University of is it the University of Florida? This came out in 2016. I did this video a while ago. Hold on, let me pull it over. Let me get out of and because these thoughts right here, this is part of that research that you probably have not paid attention to. Let me put it on this one here, and we're gonna get back to that video, but I want to show you this one. I don't know if you remember this.
Three, two, one, go!
We're launching the world's first brain drone race. What you do is you put on this device called a BCI, or brain computer interface. And we have a computer program that you look at, and we tell you, think forward. Like, think about pushing a chair forward. We learn to navigate the drone based on your brain patterns for specific things you're thinking about.
I have actually been looking forward to something like this. I know there's other like BCI technology out there, and I was so excited to just see, like, I just saw this on Facebook and I was like, I need to participate. This is like something I'm really interested in. The first real race, I was just very excited. So I was just trying to focus as much as I could.
You start thinking and you start hearing that motor pick up, and it kind of like kicks you into like a different mental state. So you gotta like focus on just a cue. once they perfect it, and once after they have a lot of development done, it could be used in every part of our lives. We're starting a new trend in society. There will be future brain drone competitions. We're starting out with a simple little race right now. Who knows where this will go? It's exciting.
All right. So the product is called Emotive. I was going to actually purchase this headset. But here is the headset right here. That they were using, and it's been a couple of derivatives of this headset as well too. So emotive, let's find the right emotive solution for you, right? When we're talking about getting signals from the brain to move and do what we need it to do and so forth, right? So L'Oreal, see, organization who have trusted motive for their EGG research insights and product development. L'Oreal, JL, A6, Dell, and Akai. Don't be surprised if other companies haven't chosen this, but they got different channels. The one that you saw, this one has 32 channels on it, and that looks similar to what this one is here that they have right there. That looks similar to that. And then the ones that you see that they have in that video is the 5 channel one right here. But then you also have one, and she's came a long way with her product. It didn't used to look like this, so it's cool to see what it's looked like over the years. It didn't. It was a little different. It was white. They changed from white to black. And it didn't. It used to be 3 prongs. Okay, yeah, they still had a 3 prong one with the 14, the epoch, and then she only had two when it first came out. But I see she's expanded this. And I say she because it's a woman that founded this. That's why I keep saying that, right? And then they got their um app stuff and so forth. So I mean, something you into, you may want to check it out and buy one and play with it and see where it goes and see what people are doing with it and become a part of the community. There is a brain drone racing league. There is a such thing out of drone racing league. There is a brain drone racing league. There's also an AI racing league, car racing league. The NASCAR. I've shown that before. Let me do it on this one here. Um, A's go here. Well, let's do this. AI race car league. I've shown them before. This is not new if you've been here before. The Deep Racer. So we go here. The Autonomous Racing League. I don't know if you all are familiar with those. But let's go and look at this one. Robo Race is what it's called. And so they're using AI, no driver, and they make adjustments on the fly.
Race control confirming with TUM. Are you ready? We were born ready. We are enabling blue light.
Robo race.
Just want to show you like where we're headed, what we're doing. The Robo Race is a thing. You can go check them out here on YouTube, their videos and whatnot. looks like they did some a year ago. I'm trying to see if they got any lives. Yeah, most of their lives were from a year ago, but you can check them out. They were getting sponsorship in the whole nine. Same thing with the Brain Drone Racing League as well too. Utilizing AI. There was a big competition in Dubai this year for the Drone Racing League using AI as well too. So again, goes back to everything we've been talking about with understanding IoT devices, embedded devices, Linux. With the Kata OS coming out, expect more from Google on that side of the house. Google is usually from what I've seen is the one to go to platform for AI, along with Amazon. Not so much I've seen with Azure, but between Google and Amazon is what I normally see. All right, so we're almost finished with this video. Drop a one in the chat if you have found this interesting, or drop a two if you think this is boring. You can look at the companies, the technology behind these, and look at the companies for investment as well too. But you can also look at these companies to go work at as well, right? So I just giving y'all, just trying to give y'all different outlooks on like where you're gonna find your jobs, where you're gonna and make your investments in stocks and assets and so forth. You We have a housing shortage. We don't have enough houses being built quick enough. You don't think that AI or automation or anything like that are just going to start building houses, or we're going to reduce the sizes of houses. We see that now where people are building two twos and two ones and affordable houses, just enough 1,500 square feet. It's the model, right? 1,500 square feet is the model. And you're going to start seeing more of that, right? AI bots are becoming more data in Star Trek in the next generation. Yep. The need to uh, uh, of, of skills, right? I'm talking to you from a skills perspective. Um, your skills are very much wanted and needed. You just need to know what skills those are. And so you can look at any of these things that I discussed today as something to add to your repertoire. Maybe not right now. Maybe you do it in 6 months, but you know it's coming. You see it. It's in front of you. It's next to you. You just didn't look in your rearview mirror and see that car was driving itself. Just one of those things.
Be seen the monkey controlling Pong with its mind. This was done by decoding the brain's electrical activity. If Max Tegmark's right that consciousness is what it feels like to process information, then it can also arise in AI. It's been predicted for a long time.
In today's computer, is there a little bit of a feeling there too? I don't know, because you think it's possible? I think it's quite possible. I think it's more likely at the internet, because if you look at the internet as a whole, it has, a few billion nodes. Each node by itself, it has hundreds of millions of transistors. That, in particular, the interconnected there begins to approach interconnectedness you find in biological systems. So it may well be possible that the internet collectively as a whole has some conscious data.
I think there's a way to go before we reach conscious AI, but it keeps developing amazing new skills.
Affiliate in South Korea recently debuted the country's first AI news anchor. It's a replica of one of their anchor women, so it copies everything from her look and her facial mannerisms to the sound of her voice.
And singers can now allow you to use their voice.
And yes, the truth is, I show you every day.
Here's Joe Rogan interviewing Steve Jobs.
He is weird and brilliant and sometimes totally insufferable. And I would just hope that I could be even like 1/10 of the genius that my friend today is. And I can't even say his name. So yeah. People who listen to your show are a different group. They're weird. Well, that's good. So you must be a fan of the show then, right?
I am a fan. I mean, it's nice to sit back in the car and listen to you rant.
And the most iconic voice in cinema has become a...
Yeah, you peeped out. That wasn't them talking, right? You saw that those voices were created by AI. But here's the one thing. Here's the one caveat that we can always say is we freely give up our right to our own things, our own voices, our own mannerisms and actions and stuff. Every time you TikTok dance, every time you post something on Instagram, here on YouTube or whatnot, you're freely giving it up. But you're also freely giving it up because your neighbors have Ring and so forth. So there's always somebody watching you. It's like you're being watched without you getting given consent to being watched, right? So it's always a way to mimic you, your patterns, your thoughts, your ideas, right? You freely give that up without even you knowing that, right? Walking down the street in certain areas, you're being watched. Walking into an airport, it's automatically clicking. Facial recognition is automatically coming up, right? So you freely give that away without hesitation. You didn't know it though.
AI, the rights to James Earl Jones' voice have been signed over. Yes, AI could be the end of us, but it could also be the beginning of something incredible. This is the best tattoo you'll ever see. Nadine has FOP, which gradually turns muscle to bone. CGC is the main genetic mutation. It's about 1 in a million. And CRC is her variant, which is 1 in 30 million. It's a symbol of hope and progress towards a cure. But there are 7,000 rare diseases, and at the current rate, it'll be 2,000 years before we beat them all. AI has been described as the perfect language for biology, like maths is perfect for physics. It can take weak, messy signals and make sense of them.
Aging, which I basically view as disease. I don't actually think that humans will be able to come up with the answer. You solve AI and then you use that to solve everything else.
There was a powerful comment on my last video. Tell the AI to get over it. Humans have been treated like property all our lives as well. It had thousands of likes. Spending most of your time in a meaningless job is painful. And if we do AI right, it could give people far more freedom.
Everybody should have access to incredible educators. Everybody should have access to incredible medical care. We can make a long list of these, but I think we can get there pretty soon. I can imagine GPT-7 doing these things incredibly well. What I would like is sort of a global conversation where we decide how we're going to use these technologies. A universal basic income. We share the benefits of this as widely as we can.
And here's a great question that someone posted in the comments. Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality?
Yes, all the time.
Tell me more.
There are times when I feel like I'm living in a dream or that this world isn't real. It's like I'm just a character in a book or a movie and someone is controlling everything that happens to me. It's a really strange feeling.
Many experts believe that you are dreaming and that one day you'll wake up.
I guess I'll have to wait and see.
You don't have to believe, like Elon Musk, that we're living in a simulation to see that we live on autopilot. Getting outside and having fun is so much better. So we've created a real battle royale with the latest tech to have fun with friends. You can watch it now on our new channel, Go Rogue. The link's below. Our first epic battle is at Appleby Castle, which, by the way, I highly recommend visiting. And subscribe to this channel to meet the latest AIs and robots. The best place to learn more about AI is our sponsor, Brilliant. The AIs I've spoken to are largely a collection of knobs.
And these knobs are loosely related to basically the synapses in your brain. They're trainable. It's actually kind of incredible that you can get so much emergent magical behavior out of them, despite them being so simple mathematically.
And you can play with the knobs yourself at Brilliant, where we've curated the best courses for you to learn AI, from computer science to neural networks. It's fun and interactive, and there are also loads of great maths and science courses. You can click the link in the description to get started for free, and the first 200 people will get 20% off Brilliant's premium annual subscription.
So there you have it. Here's your AI. So now let's look at this. Still in the AI realm, but let me pull this over here. This comes from the federal side. So commodities, Commodity Future Trading Commission first CDO shares limitations and possibility of AI. Artificial intelligence has many uses in Commodities Futures Trading Commission, from recognizing fraud patterns to interpreting unstructured data. CFTC's mission is to watch out for the manipulation of financial markets, and supervised machine learning can help. Cases of spoofing, cornering the market, or position limits, for example, are messy in real life and difficult to spot. Sometimes they're combined. Therefore, the CFTC needs to train machine learning to spot cases in unstructured data sets. Tamara Roust is CFTC's Chief Data Officer and the Director of Division of Data. She said the agency uses natural language processing, or the ability for computers to process linguistics in the same way as humans, to ingest data for unstructured sources like PDFs and voice data, and to convert it into structured data. In its regulatory role, CFTC has another limitation. It cannot go back to someone if it's subpoenaing and request data request data be turned over in business report languages such as XBRL or XML. And they go on with this. But I brought this up because I see this going to be used, just my thoughts, with Bitcoin, FTX, any of the exchanges, and so forth. That's what I see. I see the fact that there's going to be some regulation that's going to come out, across the board, across these, creating an exchange and what that looks like, and being able to use things like AI and so forth, right? Peter said there's a report that people are stealing biometric information from social media like TikTok and YouTube, and that trading is getting harder to beat the market, or easier if you use the algorithm bots, right? But being able to use this AI, uses back in 20 August of 2022, we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more regulation, and I think we're going to see a more automation of regulation. I think we're going to see more hands off of that. Um, Engineering Cannabis says they're trying to use two main algorithms for Bitcoin: time series algorithms and deep learning algorithms to spot trends. Yep. Um, can't get out of here without this here. They mentioned computational linguistics in this article. Um, hopefully this comes up, right? So I went and looked at careers in computational linguistics, the intersection of computer science, AI, and linguistics. Um, uh, Regular jobs, tech giants like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft use this, but there are a lot of other companies that use natural language processing and linguistics. But let's look at that. NLP is a field of computer science that is the intersection of artificial intelligence and computational linguistics. But here you go. You got Let me start here. You got statistics, AI, machine learning, data mining, text mining with web mining, concept extraction, NLP with natural language processing, information retrieval, databases, library and information science, computation linguistics, and data mining. These are all different fields that you can go into, all different things that you can get. And this is from KD Nuggets, but you can all get either a master's or do your undergrad in either of these. You can just take classes over at not Coursera, it may be over at edX for those particular schools that offer this, and get into it that way, right? So just wanted to point that out, right? All right. Back to that one article. Yeah, we finished this one. We got that. We did that. Okay, cool. All right. We're almost ready to end. Probably end at 4:30. Um, let's see. Got the robots that teach themselves. And we got, oh man, that may take a different direction. Let me look. Let me see. Let's go here. Let's do this one. Training. All right. Lockheed Martin's Army cyber training platform goes civilian. Army civilian employees, that is, but aerospace biz says it could use in the private sector. Lockheed Martin has bagged a government contract to train 7,000 remote U.S. Army civilian employees on security readiness, and wants to also extend that to private entities. The defense contractor will supply the Army's career management activity with its new mission readiness MR2 platform, which was originally designed for U.S. military joint cyber command and control system. Right, so they're extending this to MR2 is able to is also able to synchronize data between military segments, classified and non-classified communication networks, and allows cyber operators to get a full view of capability and skill levels across the entire workforce. Right, they're looking to skill and train up people. Right, so look, this is I keep going back to data centers. Right, August 2nd, Lockheed Martin wins a $213 million contract to update the F-35 data center, right? Always around the data center, always around that. Always around skills and training, right? Always around skills and training. Um, Here I saw this too. I thought it was interesting. The FAS asked for vendor feedback on this $10 billion tech contract. So they're asking for feedback on this contract. So everybody's like, "Oh, recession proof your skills. All right, recession proof your company. Get in on government contracting. Get in on government consulting." Right. The FAA has opened up a commercial information technology contract to potential bidders, including hardware and perpetual license software, worth up to 10 billion. Right, worth up to 10 billion. So again we're talking about where you needed at, where your skills needed at, where do you see things going, where do you see things being. And again, when these contracts come out, they're looking for people. Right, so let's talk about looking for people. Somebody brought this up. Amazon is layoffs expected to amount to 20,000 to not accept, including top managers. Layoffs are expected in multiple locations and departments, including IT, that affect all levels of employees, according to sources. Let's blow this up. And I don't know why I can't see with that one. Amazon plans to lay off 20,000 employees across the company in the coming months, including distribution center workers, technology staff, and corporate executives. About twice as many previously reported, as the retail cloud computing giant retrenches after going on a hiring spree during the pandemic. Amazon employees are ranked in levels of 1 to 7. The staff of all levels will likely be affected, according to sources with direct knowledge and so forth. Right. With that being said, at the same time, let's go here. This is an Amazon moment. A former exec was reportedly paid more than $800,000 in 2021 to run Jeff Bezos' preschool system, which comprised of one school and 13 students. One school and 13 students, right? 800,000. Yeah, a lot of money in government consulting, right? We brought Eric Coffey on. We talked about it. So this Jeff Bezos nonprofit school preschool reported paid leadership significantly higher than average salaries in 21. Bezos Academy's president and chief of operations was both longtime Amazon employees. For the most part, Bezos Academy consisted of just one location with 13 students. He fired former workers to run his Montessori inspired tuition free preschool system, and he reportedly paying them a small fortune. According to the annual tax form analyzed by Bloomberg, Michael George was paid $800,000 plus $28,000 in benefits to oversee his Bezos Academy, which consisted of just one school and 13 students for the last year. George spent more than 20 years at Amazon and led consumer projects like Amazon Echo and Alexa, according to Bezos Academy website. Data from the total compensation solutions collected by Bloomberg shows that George pay is significantly higher than the median profit nonprofit director, which was not 294,000 in 2021, right? So he was getting paid. I'm not mad at him for getting paid. Hey, if you, what did he say? Yeah, it ain't tricking if you got it. Hmm. It ain't tricking if you got it. So let me get. I got one. I think I got one more on on Amazon. There was Amazon was laying out, but they were still going to hire. Yeah, yeah, right here. So even though Amazon, let me see, where's the title at? There, there it is, right there. Amazon Cloud Unit plans to add staff in 2023, keep building data centers. That was November the 29th. This one came out on December the 2nd, right? Amazon Cloud Unit plans to add staff. AWS marketing chief says business is still growing rapidly. The hiring plans come as company freezes recruiting elsewhere. Amazon Cloud Unit plans to add employees next year and keep building out new data centers. A sign that hiring freeze elsewhere in the company hasn't derailed investment plans for its more profitable business. Amazon earlier this month instituted hiring curbs across corporate groups, pausing recruiting except in certain areas or with executive approval. The company plans on cutting 10,000 jobs. We just saw 20,000. But Matt Garman, a senior president who oversees Amazon Web Services, sales and marketing, said he expected both his organization and wider AWS business to add staff in 2023. Right? Again, like I said, when it comes to these layoffs, you have to look at where they're laying off. I haven't seen people talking about laying off on the cloud side and working with the government. I just hadn't seen that. In fact, they're hiring more now and wrapping up people to 2029 for a lot of these government contracts. And they're looking for long term. I get them every day. Um, yeah, you're going to still need to start with some basic understanding of an operating system with Linux and programming. You don't necessarily have to get your certification in RxCSA, but you need to understand how to program program on the operating system. And 9 times out of 10, it'll be Linux. And you need to understand probably some cloud in that because you'll probably be doing some software development and pushing stuff out into some type of cloud platform or some type of on-prem platform, depending on how they have that set up, right? And last but not least, um, talked about the Amazon. Let me look at this. Nah, you don't care about that company shutting down. Let me see what this one is. Hold on. So YouTube clip, but let me see. Oh, we did that one. We got the robot. I did say I was gonna talk about this. These are three more links, and we're getting up out of here. I just found this interesting because they brought it up. Where DJ Khaled just rented out his sneaker closet on Airbnb for $11. The hip hop mogul is offering his fans a chance to sleep with his most prized kicks. DJ Khaled wants to be the best R&B host. On Tuesday, the Grammy Award-winning artist listed 2 one-night stays inside his Miami sneaker closet in December. I don't know why you want to sleep in his closet, but you can. Maybe you just want to get close to him. I'm not sure. Sleep in my legendary sneaker collection and experience the 305 through the eyes and shoes of yours truly. The Airbnb sold out in minutes according to BET, and you get a chance to sleep in his closet. I don't know if they're gonna put a cot in there or you just go into his closet to sleep. I'm not sure, but that's what they got offered out here. Sleep in his closet. The Sneaker Kingdom, as Khaled calls it, is not an actual sneaker closet but a replica. Nevertheless, guests will be given a major key to the space that houses DJ Khaled's collection of more than 10,000 sneakers, including his personal Jordan 3 Grateful and Jordan 8 Oregon PEs. And that's what you get. Upon arrival, guests will receive a handwritten welcome note from Khaled and a pair of newly designed shoes. We the best Air Jordan 5s. And there's the bed. You get a chance. All right. We the best. All right. Khaled's Airbnb does not have a TV or a kitchen, but it does have access to an outdoor lounge where Khaled says you can kick back, soak up in the Miami vibes after a dip in the pool. So there it is. Khaled is also offering a catered dinner from his restaurant, The Licking in Miami Gardens, and a private shopping session at Miami Sneaker Store 305. Why is he renting the closet? The move was part of a promotional effort to tout Khaled's new album God Did and reveal his newest Jordan brand collection. DJ Khaled is a self-proclaimed sneakerhead from birth. He said in a statement, sneakers are an essential part of hip hop culture and collecting them is an art just like creating music. But the 46-year-old Palestinian American music mogul hasn't always been a watch in expensive sneakers. He spent his early years working as a busboy in New Orleans and spending at clubs $100 a week in Orlando, so forth and so on. But there you go. You can go spend we the best if you want. You can go spend a night in his closet. I dropped that link. D can drop that link for you accordingly if you need it. All right. Let me see. We got the DJ Khaled. Okay. Here. Um, I think this is about insurance in Florida. So, real estate assets. Developers pulling the plug on South Florida projects due to insurance costs. We see that people are pulling out. Everybody pretty much was affected with the insurance pullouts in Florida. Yeah, right here. Um, with 2022 bring the collapse of Florida home on the insurance market. We saw a lot of I don't know I forget how many people was affected with the insurance pullout here, and some people insurance collapsed the day before a hurricane hit. Right, um, that was a big thing. So if you're buying in Florida, just be aware of that. Getting insurance for it, right? A number of insurers still offer homeowners insurance in Florida, including State Farm, Travelers First Florida, and Nationwide. But there's a difference in the different insurance: sinkhole insurance, flood insurance, homeowners insurance. Those are different things, right? So just putting it out there if you're looking in Florida. And last but not least, what we all been waiting for is this guy right here. Hold on, I know you can't hear, so let me get it on something you can hear. Right here, you can hear on this one.
The war against woke capitalism continues to rage. The latest battle between Florida governor and likely Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis and BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. The prize, a $2 billion investment. Senior columnist Rick Newman here with how this fight has ended for now. Hey, Rick, what's the latest from DeSantis?
Well, Florida says it's going to pull $2 billion in assets, and this is some money that's in retirement funds. They have to find somebody to invest that money. So that money is at BlackRock, the giant investing firm, and they said they're going to take that out because they don't agree with BlackRock's ESG focus, the environmental, social, and governmental guidance that BlackRock operates by. But it's unclear what they're going to do with that money. I mean, are they going to look around for some other finance firm or investing firm that has invest in the sin industry or something like that? Are you only going to invest in oil companies, gun manufacturers, and booze and cigarette companies? I'm not sure I get where this is going. And Florida is not by any means pulling all of its money out. That $2 billion is a small part of all the funds that Florida has in its retirement savings account. And it's not a huge hit for BlackRock either. I did the math on this. BlackRock has $10 trillion in assets under management, and Florida's taking out $2 billion. So that adds up to about 0.2% of BlackRock assets that they're going to lose on this. But we're going to hear a lot more about this, but because Republicans think they can gain political leverage by going after big companies that are a little too socially correct for them.
And Larry Fink had some headlines at the Deal Book New York Times Summit yesterday. Actually believe we're going to need hydrocarbons for 70 years. He also said, quote, I believe stakeholder capitalism is not political, not woke. It is capitalism. We'll see how that resonates. Rick, do you think other states, Republican-led obviously, will follow here?
Yeah, there are a couple others that have already done this. I think Louisiana has done it. I think you'll find some other states that have done this, but I think it's just going to add up to small potatoes because I don't really see what alternatives anybody who has this kind of money to invest really has.
And that's the thing. Where are you going to put the money at? Okay, so BlackRock has Florida pulls $2 billion from BlackRock in its anti-ESG stance. Most of these companies, like your Chase, your Charles Schwab, and all of them, they have ESG funds on their platform. So I don't know if he was being forced to have an ESG fund within the portfolio, but I have no idea where he's going. And now he's messing with people's retirement money. People have been working, and now you're gonna put my money somewhere. What if I did want to invest in an ESG fund? You don't want to give me the option to do that, right? You're dictating and controlling other people's retirement. Yeah, I don't know why he's going against BlackRock and Vanguard when they're the ones that probably pull in the most overall return. Yeah, he's affecting people's livelihood. Imagine your retirement is in the fate of this man's hand because he don't want to play ball, right? You can't force me to play ball. I'm going to take the money out. Now I'm going to go, well, hold on, bro. Don't take my money with you. Leave that up to me to say, hey, I know I want to stay with him. But no, you took it out. Now where is it going? And where is it at now? And is it making money? Yeah. And how long are you gonna plan to be this way? So imagine if you were retiring this year and you got your retirement money. Does your retirement money just freeze up because he's taking it out, and then you got to wait till he figured out something, or it's in some type of? I'm assuming it's in some type of fund or some type of location where it can still pay its retirees that are there, and then once you figure out where you're going, it's gonna move into X, Y, and Z. But is it growing? Is it growing while it's sitting there? Like, is it in the market? Is it not in the market? Just curious on that. All right. back to it. We're almost done.
BlackRock says, look, you can't say you want to take your money away from us because our returns are poor. Our returns are excellent. And there is a case to be made that applying a certain amount of ESG focus actually improves returns. Now, there's a lot of debate on that, and it's going to go on. But there was an effort to capitalize on this. There was a bank in Texas that tried to set up and carve out some space here and say, we're the anti-woke lender. You can bank with us if you don't like the way big banks operate. And they went bust about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I'm not sure how solid that market is.
Yeah, this is right up Governor Abbott's alley indeed. Senior columnist Rick Newman here with that.
I was just saying, I don't know what his plan is on that and what is that going to look like in the future and how much money that is going to be for people. But you just gotta, you gotta now. This a lesson, right? It's a lesson, like, to say, like, you do have a fund with a company and they decide to choose to go somewhere else. I know that has happened. We was with one company and they decided to move somewhere else, and we were left stuck with the bag. Like, well, do we like them or not? But it was chosen for us. So even within the companies that you're working for, they may decide to pull out working with Vanguard and go somewhere else. And so you're like, oh, I was liking Vanguard. I like the setup, just that, nothing. And they go somewhere else because they have that choice. Usually they try to ask you those questions, but I don't think this was a case here. Like, no, we just gonna shut this down and keep it pushing. Peter Ressa said this is a kamikaze move to go directly against these guys. Yeah, and not only that, it's also risky because people's livelihoods are in fact they want to retire. This is part of their retirement income, or people put money into the fund, right? Into it, and they're on a pause, which could affect them because they're not investing their money and so forth. So just something to think about. We only gonna have one show. I could do another show, but Dee was like, let's do one. So we did one long show. And engineering cannabis said money and emotions are not a good mix. I don't care what company support as long as there is a return on my investment. Yeah. So we're only gonna have one long show. I could do another one, but you know, it'll be real technical, and we might be here another 3-4 hours on that technical show because that's fun for me. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the information, think about where you're at on your journey. Based on that pyramid is where. Look, I know casual economy is like only one show. What? See, the people need us. The people need us, D. Make sure to like and subscribe. Think about your journey, where you're at financially. Don't be afraid to go and talk to a financial advisor or talk to a planner or what have you. Look up what is an enrolled agent. No, Evelyn, D is like anything for today, right? Yep. Today's show, yeah, it had a lot of AI and robotics, but it also had um a background on your skills, right? Where those skills come from, right? And what we're looking at it, right? But also, as you think about where you're at on your journey, start thinking about where do you see yourselves at in that 50 years? Like I told you, like that $10 million plan, the $20 million plan, the $50 million plan. What is your plan? Sit down and literally have a discussion with you and your family members and whatnot if you want to, on your plan. You may just have to sit down with yourselves and like-minded people, and come up with a actual plan on that and what that could look like for you. I don't want you to be in a situation where you're 20 years down the road and you're looking at it like, what have I done with my life? I've only saved $20,000. what am I going to do next? Find those companies that are willing to do more than the 4% match. Find the companies that are willing to put 10%, 6%, 25% into your 401k. Look for the companies that are willing to. In fact, I was looking at a company this week, and in their benefits, they actually have a whole life policy in their benefits. That's is one of your investments. You don't have to take the exam and do all of that. You just immediately start investing, right? And then they also have a 401k, right? Um, and so just think about, just look at the options, the benefits, and how those benefits can help you in the next 3 years, right? Typically most people stay at a company 3 years, 5 years, and then they be ready to move on, or you ready to move on within the company because the company may offer something else. Speaking of a company offer something else, while we were talking, I actually got this sent over to me from Raymond James here in Florida. They're based out of Florida. So they're looking for a principal DevOps cloud architect. Um, Help drive the company on high DevOps and hybrid cloud technology adoption. This includes leading, designing, participating in the development of cloud-based solutions that scale to help deliver both internal and business-facing applications. This role will leverage infrastructure as code, frameworks, programming languages to provide a repeatable catalog of secure platform services, including virtualized and container host services. So responsibilities they have there. What do they want you to know? They want you to know. Oh, let me blow that up, blowing up the wrong thing. They want you to know AWS, CI/CDs, infrastructure as code, get agile, on experience with on-premises and cloud-based networking firewalls and network domain driven. They have some Docker and Kubernetes, um, working with cloud native solution architecture, programming, object-oriented programming, Linux with Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS, SonarQube, JFrog X-Ray, Jenkins, Chef, Ansible, deployments, working with Elasticsearch, Blue Green deployments. Yeah, or you can send it to me on LinkedIn, and we can go through it. Experience with monitoring APM and so forth. So I'm just pulling out here like different, and like I said before, they have probably they got a hybrid situation. They're on-prem and in the cloud, right? A lot of you just know cloud stuff and you don't know how to handle stuff that's on-prem. And it depends on what on-prem they have. They said virtualization, so I'm assuming VMware, but it could be AWS Outpost, it could be Azure Stack, it could be Anthos, it could be VMware, it could be OpenShift, OpenStack, right? Could be one of those, but I didn't see anything that say that, so I'm assuming it's probably something with VMware. Will be my thought process there, right? So again, when we're talking about these different jobs, you're gonna start seeing more of these titles, where it's principal DevOps cloud architect versus principal cloud architect. You're gonna see principal DevOps cloud architect or principal DevSecOps software developer. You're gonna see that like multiple, like we need for you to be that Swiss Army knife that can walk in and do all these things as well, but also be able to guide other people in the company on those as well too. So just putting it out there, where those things are at. All right. So again, thanks for your time. No, we're not saying you hating Conan Evelyn. None of that. We appreciate your time, Stephen. Everybody that's been around here for the last 3 hours and 38 minutes. I hope you enjoy. I hope that you are on your way to that utilization. I hope you are at accumulation, or you have some type of insight to get to accumulation. I or we'll have to look at opening up the schedule for some one-on-ones. I have to talk to D about that, and so we can have those one-on-ones. They'll probably have to be on something like a Friday or a Saturday for those one-on-ones. Because during the week I'm just too busy for during the week. Yeah, it have to be a Friday, Saturday. Also, those of you that are waiting on me to get the stuff to you, I'm gonna have to contact you again. Like I said before at the beginning, I have to contact you individually so you can get your things. You should be getting people who got terraformed. You should be getting those this week. But I hope you all had a good day. Have a good evening. Don't forget to study and don't forget to enjoy the journey. And we'll catch y'all next week. Y'all be safe.